kids had to say about what the adults are failing to provide.
There's so many pretty organizations that have so much funding, but it really doesn't do anything for the teens that need places to go after hours.
After hours.
We're not just asking for miracles or handouts. We're asking for opportunity that we deserve. And when you give us that, we don't just take it. We transform it.
Can you give me an example? 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, call and text line. I'm just a little unclear about this dearth of opportunity after hours, whatever hours those constitute in the city of Chicago. You know, I look at the outlets of record, all the government-funded media, like WBEZ, 17 great places to explore, see wildlife, and find solace on the water in Chicago and the suburbs. And, of course, with all these organizations around, as that young lady said, and with all the funding they get from government, these sort of NGOs where political flacks reside when their people are out of office or when there's not enough staff positions to lard them all on the payroll, then you have the resources to take the kid. I mean, there's water opportunities, kayaks, canoes, paddle boards, actually in the city proper, on the southeast side, Powderhorn Lake, for example. But then, I mean, certainly you can provide the transportation to take the kids on an excursion to get out of the city as needed. I think what also is going on, I mean, there are all these athletic opportunities, right, in K through 12. I mean, Chicago Public Schools has $11 billion to spend on an annualized basis. It would seem to be enough in addition to the school day, and as you move into the summer, all the after-school programs they have, all the Park District programs, redundancy after redundancy after redundancy in terms of layers of government. How many parks do we have? How many clubs, nonprofits that run organizations like Chicago River Canoe and Kayak, water riders, and so on and so forth? How many of these, I mean, especially as you get older, the idea that you have to go to the beach as part of some mob action is absurd. Why can't you do one of the organizations that sponsors beach volleyball or, in this day and age, tennis, pickleball, whatever? I mean, the amenities are lacking, and that's some sort of explanation for why you have lawlessness in big groups in the city. You know, the kids being silly that we hear so much about. Having these kids come forward, Jesse Fuentes, Alderman Jesse Fuentes, who sort of the Hispanic version of It's Pat from Saturday Night Live, brought the kids in to testify.
We belong in this city, and we need places to where we can truly belong and where we can feel like we can heal.
Heal from what? I mean, there are traumas that kids in certain neighborhoods experience, there's no question. You know, that lawlessness thing again. So, I mean, I'm not saying that the adults are particularly stand up for the kids, including the situation with so many families, families as well as the adults in these institutions, but
they took all the free spaces from us, and they expect us not to go to the beach or go downtown. But there's nowhere for us to connect or meet new people.
I mean, it just is not exactly supported by the evidence, to be generous. But it takes a village, one of those adults looking out for the kids.
After hours right now is
what is after hours?
Sparks time. That's when they're up. You can look at the data from TikTok, from all the social medias. They're up, they're out, and they're looking for something to do. So if we need to be out when they're out, then we need to change our hours from when we work as organizations to fit the schedule of our youth. When they say hold the youth accountable, hold everyone accountable, not just the parents, hold the community accountable, because it might not be your community today, but it might be tomorrow. So everyone needs to make sure that there's a space for children and be on board with this.
Yeah, I know it takes a village. Not really. Midsummer Flight presents Shakespeare's As You Like It, a romantic comedy filled with witty dialogue and a plot that revolves around intra-family conflicts, gender roles, and lovers who must overcome obstacles. From June 26th to August 2nd at 6 city parks with Chicago Women's Park and Garden. Admission is free. Reservations recommended. Black Button Eyes Productions stages Irish playwright Conor McPherson's darkly comic solo show St. Nicholas. Tickets at City Lit Theater start at $30. Again, with all the funding that's provided, anybody who's interested in the theater. Little excursion, little field trip. Oak Park Festival Theater opens its season with 2 classic plays running in repertory. Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, Shakespeare's Hamlet. Outdoor in Austin Gardens. I'm sure those Oak Park socialists would be happy to redistribute some of their funds to sponsor kids to come out from the city if they can survive on the Blue Line. 19 things to do in Chicago from June 25th to July 1 in the that pamphlet they call the Sun-Times. After hours, no spaces. They've taken it away, what we deserve. A lot of units of government responsible for the education of children, programming for young people, children and young people. A lot of money being spent, a lot of taxpayer funds being gobbled up and redistributed. And yet I hear this hue and cry about the kids have nothing to do as some sort of excuse for them to do mayhem in groups. Not buying it. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, Dan. You know, it kills me listening to this stuff. These kids are a bunch of entitled, spoiled brats who
wonder where they learn. Wonder where they learned that from.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Nothing more than victims. I mean, that's all you heard was victimhood. I mean, you know, up here, our alderman has this thing where, I don't know, it's called Art in the Park or something. They put up a screen. They have movies and that in the parks. Right. You know, why don't these kids do something? For crying out loud, we've got the best shoreline probably of a big city on planet Earth, not in the States. Mm-hmm. And, you know, this one kid's talking about, well, they took everything away. So, you know, if you don't want us to go down to the beach or downtown and mess things up, it's like, you know what? How about read the book?
Yeah.
Start a play. Get some Shakespeare and do, or whatever you want to do. Do a play in the park. Don't go just destroy stuff. If these morons think that that's the only thing they can do, pop a cap in their ass.
Okay, well, I don't know if I go that far, but here's the thing: you can go get down early to the Gold Coast and wait for Jelly Belly to come out for his lakefront walk with Marion Ahern and just join in. He'd be happy to have you, right? In terms of accessing the lakefront. I mean, right. Demarion Span, youth leader at My Block, My Hood, My City, NGO. Just imagine if we had an entire city council that's supporting youth with the same energy that they have going against youth. What does that mean? I don't know what these phrases, how are they going against youth? What is supporting youth look like? How much more money do you want, Demarion? Just say it. I mean, I know you learned this rap from the people that you're decrying, so I don't completely blame you. It's the gimme dat culture, as text from 708 describes. That's exactly what it is. You know, one generation to the next. And then it's a real head scratcher why we have the city we have with the seemingly intractable problems it has. Jay in Lowell, Indiana.
Yes, hello. I've got an idea for after hours. Go home and let your parents deal with you instead of the rest of us having to put up with you. How about that?
I'm on board with that. Whatever I still don't know what after hours is. Somebody tell me. All right, let's turn it over to Mike Scott for the headline.
5:32, fog this morning, and we see a forecast with partly sunny skies in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Could be an afternoon shower, high near 80. Our top story, over 30 are dead, 700 or more injured after 2 powerful earthquakes rocked Venezuela. A magnitude 7.2 quake struck on Wednesday midday, followed by a magnitude 7.5 aftershock. A quake, the strongest to hit Venezuela in over 100 years. Parts of the capital city of Caracas are flattened. Senate Republicans berated by President Donald Trump over opposition to his war in Iran have reversed course. In a late-night vote, they rejected a war powers resolution after a similar measure had passed. Trump exchanged particularly harsh words with Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy, one of 4 Republicans who had voted with Democrats on that measure, and Cassidy later changed his position. Severe storms moved through the Chicago area Wednesday evening, leaving damage in some areas.
Right when the wind gust came, we saw a branch fall down, and then shortly after that, the entire tree kind of came with it, and it actually landed on a portion of the house. Storms came quickly through the northwest suburbs, causing a path of damage from Algonquin down through Streamwood. Heavy rain fell in Lamont, where more than 2 inches was measured, 2.5 inches in Chicago Heights, around an inch in Maryville, Indiana. A traffic and transit note for the morning due to freight train derailment last night between East Chicago, Indiana and Gary. Service has been suspended on the South Shore commuter rail line between Millennium Station and South Bend. A 28-year-old man has been charged in the stabbing of another man on a CTA Blue Line train. Aaron Hawkins of Chicago faces 1 felony count of aggravated battery, use of a weapon, and 1 felony count of aggravated battery involving a transit employee or passenger. A proposed data center in the northwest suburbs drawing residents to a protest Wednesday evening. Plum Farms stretches across 185 acres of land in Hoffman Estates, and it could be home to the village's 3rd data center project owned by Caris Critical.
We feel like we've been totally ignored. The public hearings that we've had are totally just like political theater. It's just a formality. They've already made up their mind.
Caris documents show a 5-building, 300-megawatt data center, 10 times larger than the one Caris tried to build in Naperville, voted down earlier this year. Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia officially launching her re-election campaign, seeking a 3rd term in office. Valencia was first appointed to the post in 2017 by then-Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Bears hosting fans at Hallis Hall for 10 training camp practices starting in July and going through August. Open practices, start July 31. Cubs scored 20 runs to claim both ends of a doubleheader over the Mets, 10-3 and 10-5. White Sox failed to sweep Cleveland following a 4-3 loss in 10 innings at home. The news, a service of Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate First. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. Check Allstate First for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, and in 2 minutes, we'll check the AccuWeather forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
The Sean Thompson Show.
I don't care what they are, a doctor, a lawyer, a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. If they're a Democrat, they're a frickin' criminal. They do nothing, good for nothing. They cannot tell the truth. They pretend to be what exactly? Anything other than what they are. The greatest political mafia this country's ever seen.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Are you the Weston from Hassellus Mattress?
That's me.
I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, well, thanks.
The way you talk about employee-free Hassellus showrooms, free next day delivery, and prices that are way low. I mean, nobody does it better.
I don't know what to say.
Say that I can get a free box spring with the purchase of any Sealy Posturepedic or Beauty Rest mattress.
Okay. Now through Monday, at Hassellus, get a free box spring with the purchase of any Sealy Posturepedic or Beauty Rest mattress.
Awesome.
You know what's really awesome? You can get a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Elm Cove A mattress. Others sell it for $1,459, but Hassellus has it for just $794.
I know. I have that tattooed on my...
Wow, you really are a fan.
Told ya.
Save big and get a free box spring through Monday at Hassellus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today will bring partly sunny skies and warmer temperatures with a chance of a shower in the area this afternoon. The high will reach 80 degrees. Tonight, expect partly cloudy conditions with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be pleasant with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 71. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. President Trump yesterday having that scheduled lunch with Senate Republicans, including those who have been most opposed to critical parts of his midterm policy agenda, starting with the Save America Act. And so what did he do yesterday? Well, that road to housing legislation that was supposed to be signed that enjoyed bipartisan support, populist in nature, he tabled it, saying, I want to see what you can do on the Save America Act. I want it. And he was right to do so, in my opinion. It's about time somebody started to try to leverage the holdouts in the Senate Republican caucus, particularly the lame ducks that are more insulated, seemingly, from political consequences for being obstructionist on, what is not a controversial underlying issue. The Save Act, I'm talking about voter ID, birthright proof of citizenship and voter ID, essentially, are the two key points of it. The more controversial measure is nuking the filibuster such that it requires a simple majority. And even though the stated position of people like Ro Khanna, representing the neo-Marxist party, is that we will nuke the filibuster. So do you preempt, or do you wait for them to do it so they, wear the jacket for it, and then you can subsequently do it when you regain power? As much as I want the Senate to be a deliberative body, as resistant as I am to Republicans setting this precedent and opening up the possibility of all sorts of horrors, D.C., Puerto Rican statehood, expanding the Supreme Court, all of the other items on their big government central planned agenda. If you believe it's a fait accompli, then you are duty bound to use the power you have when you have it. And I'm pretty convinced that it's a fait accompli from the left. So Trump, we'll see.
Settlements on the housing bill. I want to see what happens with it. Look, the housing bill is housing. I made billions of dollars with housing. I know housing better than anybody, maybe anywhere. It's all about the interest rate. Lower the interest rates, you can have all the housing you want. But you have to understand, I don't want to hurt people that own houses.
Yeah, we'll set the housing thing aside for a minute, and let's just talk about the political leverage that President Trump is trying to use. Something, frankly, that John Thune should have been doing with the Mitch McConnells and the Lisa Murkowskis and the Bill Cassidys and now the John Cornyn's and other recalcitrant Republicans. Even if you can't punish them now because they're on their way out the door, like Cassidy and Cornyn, they have interests that persist beyond their time in the Senate. I'm sure they have interests in terms of favors that have been done, pork that is still scheduled to be released, things they want to do after their time in the Senate, access they want to have. All that should be on the table. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. Trump was accentuating the positive when he came out with the leadership team, Thune and Barrasso, to characterize how the lunch went.
I think we had a really great meeting, and we're very proud of the party. We like our leader. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are. But I'll give you that information someday. But for the most part, we have a really well-unified party. And I said it very strongly. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the most powerful. We're the smartest. We're the most respected. 2 years ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world. We had a terrible group of people representing us. Every leader, I just left G7, every leader, and we had a lot of people in addition to G7, as you know, came. Everyone said, what we've done in a year and a half is a miracle. We have the hottest country in the world, and we want to keep it that way. We have more factories being built right now than we have at any point at any time in the history of our country. And all of those factories are opening up soon. It's all jobs. And our job numbers are incredible anyway. I see that oil just broke the $70 number. Who would have thought that was going to happen? And that's during a war. And Iran is being very nice. They're agreeing to everything that I want. And they have to. Otherwise, we just go back and do what we have to do. Thank you very much.
Text from 847 Tillis, Tom Tillis in North Carolina, too. I forgot about him. Can't forget about Tom Tillis. But it was Cassidy that apparently had a bit of a shouting match with the president, according to reports, essentially conceded by Cassidy. Cassidy reportedly continued to call Trump brother instead of Mr. President, and Trump said the senator was not his brother, but is a lunatic. So that's how that went. Cassidy, after the lunch, characterizing the exchange.
You have not told the American people what's going on. It was supposed to last 4 weeks. It's lasted 4 months. Our original objectives have not been achieved. And I want to know what's going on. He did not particularly care for my comments. Raised his voice. I lost my temper. That's not appropriate. It's the Irishman. But I, again, matched his tone and his volume, and went back and forth.
That's not the Irishman. That's the guy who just got embarrassed in a primary and taken out and is on his way out the door. The Irishman, yeah. Okay, Bill. Dr. Bill. There's some things I agree with Cassidy on. There's some stands he's taken that have been useful. But he's another guy. He's a good example of why Trump has appeal and people like Bill Cassidy telling. He's another guy that's always looking for how to avoid today's fight to set up avoiding tomorrow's fight. Always looking for a way to shrink from the challenge from the left. It's just not impressive. And, the idea that to use weasel words to talk about an exchange between men about serious matters for the country, Iran, for example. This is the way he went on in terms of describing the back and forth. And, of course, Iran, Save America Act, and the underlying issue of the filibuster.
Yeah, the American people just need to know what's going on with Iran. And I don't think there's been sufficient information shared with Congress or with the American people. So that was my message.
How was that received by the president? Did this turn into a shouting match?
Well, voices were raised. Put it that way.
Any regrets on anything you said?
No. I'm not going to be bullied when I'm trying to get answers for the American people. This is not about me. It's not about the president. It's about the American people knowing what's going on. And right now, there's just like, it seems that we're being told different things by different people. He may be right. I just think there needs to be more kind of, let's be open about it. And I'm not going to be bullied into silence when I'm sticking up for the American people.
So speak your mind. I'm not going to be bullied into silence. Somebody's bullying you into silence. You just told us you had a shouting match with the president. So how are you being bullied into silence? You just stop. Stop being such a bitch. Greg in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, thanks for allowing me to put this on the record. But from my point of view, and I think I'm representative of a lot of people, is that the Republicans don't get this SAVE Act passed, and they don't make a stand, and that includes months of filibuster. Forget about November and November's after that. You know, when you look at all of the elections that we have lost by 10 and 15,000, votes, and you look at the infusion of all of these illegals, if you don't have at least a picture ID or any kind of process on elections, the whole thing is just suspect. And they're more devious than we are, so we're going to lose.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Tommy Tuberville said something similar to that with his conversation with Martha McCallum after the lunch.
Has said that there aren't the votes to end the filibuster in the Senate and that there aren't the votes to pass the SAVE Act. So what's going to change with those two factors?
Well, he came there today to praise the people that had been on America's side from the Republican caucus in the Senate. He also came to point out the people that are fighting back against the American people, not against Trump. I mean, this is not President Trump that they're voting against. They're voting against the American people. And so he made it very simple. Okay, we've just got a few months left. We can pass a lot of things, but the only way we can do it is bust the filibuster. And you that are refusing to do that, you're worried about your election, or you're worried about personalities, you're worried about things that you shouldn't be worried about. Worry about the dang country. Worry about our country and vote for our country. Vote for freedom. Vote for democracy. Vote for a constitutional republic. Because if we don't, this will be the last time. We're behind in a lot of polls in the Senate in some of these states. And a lot of people aren't going to vote, as President Trump says, and he's hearing it everywhere.
So, are you saying that he moved people today, that he moved people who were against ending the filibuster into the yes category in there today?
Yeah. I don't know whether he moved him. We'll find out. But I'll tell you one thing. If they don't change their vote after that talk, then we won't be able to get to them. Again, it's about getting things done, not just the Save America Act. We could probably get 15, 20 things done before the election if we'd bust the filibuster. That's what it was all about.
So wait, what do you...
Glenn in Orlando, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I keep thinking back when they chose John Thune over Rick Scott, and how Rick Scott would have been a much preferable choice to be the Senate leader, because John Thune obviously has zero leadership skills.
Thanks for the call, Glenn. Yeah, I mean, Rick Scott's not the most dynamic guy you're going to come across, but he's fully on board with this program. And, and this was a guy who was obviously a very successful healthcare company executive. And what you see is the people that are the holdouts are not cut from the cloth of leadership. Think about beltway creatures like Mitch McConnell, and frankly, Lisa Murkowski, and even John Cornyn. He's been there 2 decades before he got defeated. So people that want to move the flag on the things they ran on, the things they said they would do if elected, the things they did that the party has said it would do as a collective if entrusted with power. And I suspect that Rick Scott would be much more willing to play hardball when it comes to some of these holdouts on the issue than certainly you're seeing from John Thune, who just sort of provides this, I'm on board, but, every senator is an independent enterprise and they do what they want and there's only so much I can do and I kind of throw up my hands. That's not particularly compelling. You have a lot of power. You have a lot of influence over those senators' political fates, particularly when it comes to, transitioning to electoral time and the cash that many of them need, not all, but many of them need or have needed in the past from the SRCC. I just find Thune, it seems to me, that he is not a guy that's going to go to the mat here. It's going to, this is what the president wants. I'm rhetorically on board with it. You have to vote your conscience, and I'll respect whatever decision you make. That's just not leadership, not in the rough and tumble of legislative politics or electoral politics. I'm sorry.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Food, fuel, jobs. It all starts with homegrown Illinois corn. Driving a $148 billion economic impact, corn supports thousands of jobs and strengthens communities across our state. It's advancing cleaner burning biofuels, expanding plant-based manufacturing, and growing a renewable economy. Illinois corn isn't just an agricultural success, it's a strategic investment in energy, innovation, and economic growth. See what's possible at ilcorn.org.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Patrick, CEO of Total Wall and a client of Signature Bank. We produce high-performance materials used in exterior insulating finish systems and other stucco applications. Every growing business needs a strong team behind it. Over the years, Signature Bank has been more than a financial partner. They've shared their knowledge, offered guidance, and connected us with trusted professionals who help strengthen our business. They're a valuable extension of our team and a true partner. That's why I value my relationship with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 6:06, more color on the rise of the Bolsheviks in New York and within the neo-Marxist party, and how it's, as the Daria Lisa victory indicates, it's being driven by young elites, not the working class they claim to represent. That's at 6:06. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
It's up to 164 dead in Venezuela's earthquake disaster. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. I should say at least. They expect to find more victims in collapsed and damaged homes and buildings after two quakes a minute apart. The first a magnitude 7.2, the next a 7.5.
Rescuers and first responders can be seen digging through the rubble, searching for survivors. People could be heard calling for help from the wreckage, according to reports. And buildings, of course, are without power, many reduced to rubble. Officials have completely closed the train and metro systems, and the international airport there has also been shut down after parts of the ceiling collapsed. Some posting chaotic footage to social media, capturing those terrified passengers scrambling to safety.
Fox's Chanley Painter. President Trump says the U.S. is ready, willing, and able to help. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio says search and rescue teams are being deployed along with medical and humanitarian aid. Rubio is now in the Middle East.
The Secretary of State's in Bahrain, home to the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet. He's been meeting foreign ministers from countries affected by the war with Iran. They're concerned about a potential peace deal being too soft on an Iranian regime which closed the Strait of Hormuz and fired missiles and drones at its neighbors.
We want a deal that's good, we want a deal that's real, we want a deal that's verifiable, and we want a deal that's adhered to.
Secretary Rubio promises Iran won't be allowed to charge tolls in the Strait of Hormuz.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Last night at a rally in the National Mall in Washington to kick off the Great American State Fair, the president said,
"For the first time in 3,000 years, we are finally going to have peace in the Middle East."
The Senate voted again on a war powers resolution, and unlike Tuesday, they rejected it. Two Republicans switched votes, including Bill Cassidy, after a heated exchange with the president at lunch.
He did not particularly care for my comments. Raised his voice. I lost my temper.
Cassidy's on his way out of the Senate. The president backed a Republican challenger in Louisiana. America's listening to Fox News.
Sunshine this morning in Chicago. 63 degrees, and there is some fog that we can see in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Our top story, severe storms move through the Chicago area Wednesday evening, leaving behind damage in some places.
Right when the wind gust came, we saw a branch fall down, and then shortly after that, the entire tree kind of came with it, and it actually landed on a portion of the house.
Storms quickly came through the northwest suburbs, and heavy rain fell in Lamont, where more than 2 inches was measured. Traffic and transit note for the morning due to a freight train derailment last night between East Chicago, Indiana, and Gary. Service has been disrupted for the morning rush on the South Shore commuter rail line between Millennium Station and South Bend. A 28-year-old man has been charged with the stabbing of another man on a CTA Blue Line train. Aaron Hawkins of Chicago faces one felony count of aggravated battery and one felony count of battery involving a transit employee or a passenger. Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia officially launching her re-election campaign yesterday.
But when my mom lost her $25,000 per year job after battling breast cancer, there were many times we lived paycheck to paycheck. Their values and work ethic still guide me today.
Valencia first appointed in 2017 to the post, and she has sought other jobs unsuccessfully, running for Illinois Secretary of State. 4 years after a majority of the U.S. Supreme Court overturned the right to an abortion nationwide, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday signed legislation he and lawmakers say will protect abortion rights in Illinois.
The Trump administration intends to use every lever of government power available to restrict reproductive health care. Attempts to intimidate providers or schemes to allow other states to punish people for seeking legal care here.
However, Republican state representative and licensed medical doctor Representative Bill Howder says the Reproductive Health Records Privacy Act will not do what the Democrats and the governor think it will.
This bill fundamentally misinterprets and mischaracterizes what the medical record is for. But the governor wants to pass this. He wants to campaign on it. And we're going to lose a very important thing. That is a complete and accurate medical record.
The law does not take full effect until July of next year. Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss officially stepping down this fall, announcing during his final State of the City address this week he'll resign October 18. He is running for Congress in the 9th District. Cubs scored 20 runs, claiming both ends of their doubleheader with the Mets, 10-3 and 10-5. White Sox failed to sweep the Guardians at home, losing 4-3 in 10. The news, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show at 560. TheAnswer.com/podcast. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlowe sees great numbers from the economy.
We got 172,000 jobs. The forecast was 85,000 new jobs. So this is twice as much. The trend that we're accelerating, economists have underestimated job growth now 3 straight months, as noted. 3 months average, widely considered a more reliable gauge.
The Alex Marlowe Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when pain is a part of everyday life. Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, which is one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, or just daily living. It's 100% drug-free, research-based formula, no prescription, no masking of symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. My pain almost stopped me. My hands were so bad I couldn't even button my own shirt. I couldn't paint, I couldn't write. And Tanya was the one who told me, I'm not listening to you whine anymore unless you try everything. Try Relief Factor. I did. It helped me get my life back. As America celebrates her 250 years of independence, give yourself the chance to reclaim yours. To commemorate, Relief Factor is offering a special patriotic price at $17.76, so you can pursue your happiness being pain-free. $17.76, 3-week quick starts ready for you right now. Relief Factor, because freedom just feels better without pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com. ReliefFactor.com. 800-4-RELIEF.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's joint arthritis treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 5-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
6:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more at 560theanswer.com/store. Cicero, Ogden Avenue, eastbound between Laramie and Cicero. Reopened from an earlier accident, things moving again. Crown Point, Indiana, Taft between 93rd and 85th, shut down due to heavy flooding. An accident on I-55. Vehicle is spun off into the ditch southbound on the on-ramp from North River Road, and stop-and-go traffic showing up already on the Kennedy outbound near Manhunt. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now we'll check the forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will bring partly sunny skies and warmer temperatures with a chance of a shower in the area this afternoon. The high will reach 80 degrees. Tonight, expect partly cloudy conditions with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be pleasant with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 71. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. And so the Bolsheviks displacing the Mensheviks within the ranks of the neo-Marxist or neo-Leninist party. Maybe Lenin is probably a better description. Get into the weeds and the nomenclature, but really presenting more as a vanguard class. Daria Liza Chevalier, the it girl of the Bolsheviks, for the Bolsheviks this cycle, it would seem to me. Interesting breakdown of the distribution of the vote. Her defeat of the head of the Latino caucus, longtime incumbent Espaillat, was a close race. She won by about 3 percentage points. And so the distribution of who was where within the district, among younger residents of this congressional district, she won by 25 points. The majority college-educated areas in the congressional district, she won by 19 points. The higher income areas, she won by 5 points. The lower income areas, Espaillat won by 10 points. Majority black areas, he won by 2. Majority Hispanic, he won by 15. So the workers deserve more party, that's sort of their mantra. Don't seem to be convincing the workers. The quote-unquote working class, and I don't like to use the term class because that's the Marxist paradigm, and we don't have we don't have a caste system in this country. We have mobility. We're free people, or in some places more free than others. But people that are middle or lower middle income at this point don't seem to be buying the Bolsheviks rap with the enthusiasm that the college-educated and the upper income do. This is not unusual. And we've been seeing this happen for a long time. That I mentioned this yesterday. You look at the victory parties for these neo-Bolsheviks in New York, and what you see are a lot of young honkies. Worth noting. And, of course, that's the universe from which Daria Liza emanates. Columbia undergrad. She's working, I guess she's in her 7th year of a PhD program. So basically for the last dozen years, she's been a professional student with a government job. She was an investigator of some sort for the public defender's office. It's interesting, the victors here, including Mamdani, have zero private sector experience. Mamdani, Valdez, the city comptroller, and Daria Lisa. The state propping up the central planners, the revolutionaries. Daria Lisa on Jen Psaki's program on MS Now, providing sort of the vibe, if you will, that has appeal within these cohorts. The feeling of abandonment.
I am someone who has felt deeply abandoned by the establishment politics that far too often see my community as merely a statistic, that far too often only shows up to explain away the circumstances that the politics that they have voted for time and time again, which have impacted our community in ways that they do not feel the effects of. And as someone who has had to live with the question of whether I can even afford to stay in the city I love.
She's felt the sting of the affordability crisis that, of course, the policies exacerbate, but that, of course, is beside the point, which is why she's called for the abolition of police, prisons, and borders. It's interesting. There's a lot of focus on her and her positions, and we've talked about them, but there's a bigger understanding that's required here. By the way, when she says she's for defunding the police, she's not kidding. She said means ending policing, full stop, period, no more police at all ever. That's not exactly nuanced. Literally abolish the border. Yes, literally abolish the border. All deportation is wrong. Again, not lacking in directness. The United States is an effing disgrace. The U.S. is on occupied Native American land. Where does she get this stuff? Oh, it's in the platform. Oh, that's where she gets it. They're all reading from the platform. So when Miss Valdez, another Mamdani-backed Bolshevik, says this.
Immigration in a different way. You know, we hear all these, white conservative men talk about who does and does not belong here. And look, this nation was founded on genocide and the mass displacement of people. It's just the history. And to say that some people cannot belong here, it's like, come on.
You can leave first is what you mean.
You can show yourself the door. This is a nation that that should be welcoming people here, that want to the people who come here to build better lives and for themselves and their families, to deserve real dignity, deserve to stay here, and we should be welcoming them. So just give.
Right. Yes. And where we get this idea that the left is trying to import people that will advance their political power interests. Gosh, geez, I don't know where we get this. If you're an American citizen and you don't like it, you can leave. Right. Where do they get this? Oh, again, Stu Smith writing in the City Journal. This is the platform they adopted. So they're just all signatories to the platform and advocates for the platform. Abolish the Senate. Implement proportional representation and ranked choice voting in all elections and abolish the Senate. The workers deserve more platform. Have you read it? This is sort of like what we had to go through when Black Lives Matter was ascendant. Oh, Black Lives Matter, they're just against police brutality and stuff. Have you read their platform? I mean, it's chapter and verse, neo-Marxist policies that have nothing, that include policing, but it's so much more expansive than that. It includes defunding the police. It includes pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon, and other fun chants for your mostly peaceful protests. But it is much bigger than that. And so Daria Lisa and, Chevalier, Valdez, Ladner, Mamdani, they're just vehicles for the platform, as candidates are. Abolish the carceral state. redirect police and prison funding to public services as steps towards abolishing the carceral forces of the capitalist state. Establish public ownership of the largest corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability of the people. We're going to run major corporations through state-sanctioned plebiscites. Okay. Abolish ICE and grant amnesty for all. End ICE detention and deportations. And punish federal agents' brutality. Legalize migration. Grant amnesty for all immigrants regardless of status. Provide a path to citizenship for all permanent residents. And end visa caps and quotas. So, like, what? That's Daria Lisa. She's these radical ideas. Yeah, she's just one of the rank and file. She's just another apparatchik. That's what should frighten you. 312-642-5600. AlphaWealthGroup.com. Call and text line. Bill, Northwest Side.
Yeah, another devotee of the Kamala Harris School of Public Speaking. That was really a delicious word salad, wasn't it, Dan?
Yes, they talk in riddles, although, thanks for the call, Bill, they're not that difficult to discern. I mean, Kamala's are more difficult. You know, the problem, as I said, since she sort of burst onto the scene, since she started closing in the on Espaillat, the incumbent, in the closing weeks of the campaign leading up to Tuesday, I'm talking about Daria Lisa. You should be concerned about her. She is not, without intellectual capacity like AOC is. She's maybe doesn't have the charm, but she's serious. And it strikes me, I don't know exactly, but I know the profile. I think she's done her homework, in the sense that she is committed to this ideology and she has read the books. She knows the philosophers, somewhat like Mamdani has too, because Mamdani is just an acolyte of Frantz Fanon. I mean, his rap, his third world oppressed rap, or third world oppressed at the hands of the first world oppressors rap, is right out of the Battle of Algiers, which I mentioned yesterday. I mean, it's Jean-Paul Sartre, it's Frantz Fanon. This is a guy who is coming to this from a philosophical perspective that he's translating into policies and filtering through, mellifluous sounding rhetoric with a big toothy smile. Mamdani is not without smarts and talent too. And again, smarts and talent can be used for the betterment or to nefarious ends. How many times do we have to talk about, being smart is value neutral. Being skilled in the arts of rhetoric, being well read, value neutral. What are you doing with these skills you acquired? And Mamdani, and even though AOC may be more recognizable, more popular, Mamdani, Daria Lisa, much more dangerous. Those are real revolutionaries, not the people pretending to be revolutionaries. And you know how you know who the people are pretending to be revolutionaries? How you know who they are? They're being beaten. That's how you know who they are. Dan Goldman is pantomiming. You're gone. Espaillat, pantomiming. You don't want to go far enough, fast enough. You're gone. You're just trying to hold us back and hold your fiefdom. We know what you're doing. That's what they're communicating to the coalitions they're building to take out these incumbents. This is why, for example, Jelly Belly has no path to the presidency. He could have $300 billion and it wouldn't matter, because they see him as pantomiming. They will use him for his money, his financing, and then discard him, just as they're discarding others who mostly did their bidding. But one veering off of the orthodoxy, particularly on an important issue like free Palestine from the river to the sea, and it's time for you to go. And most of these people, Dan Goldman, mealy-mouthed to the very end. incapable of mounting a defense for themselves because, they're empty vessels and they're up against people who are committed. Tina and Joliet, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. So I just wanted to say everybody's got their hair on fire about what happened in New York, but listen, we've been ahead of the curve there. Illinois, we have the same radicals here, and they've been in office for several years now. Rachel Ventura, Lauren Underwood, what's her name, Delia Rodriguez. We've got a host of them who have said the same exact things that these folks are saying. They're just less flamboyant about it. They just fly under the radar. A few years back, Rachel Ventura, when she was on the Will County Board, was suggesting that if you have extra bedrooms, you take in migrants. That all the rhetoric you're hearing out of New York, loud and proud, they've been saying it in Illinois for years. We have the same radicals. People have to wake up. And that election in New York, those people won. 10% of voters came out to vote. They won with 10% of the vote. So if I don't know what we have to do to wake people up. I don't know what else has to happen. If you don't see that the enemy has breached the gate at this point, I got nothing for you. We're in deep trouble if we don't course correct and do it quickly.
Thanks for the call, Tina. Anastava Murray. I mean, so many. Some are useful idiots. Some are real revolutionaries. Some are, as I said, have read the books, are steeped in the philosophy, are executing a plan, and some are just being dragged along or intimidated along with them. It's sort of like the Maddie Friedman, that AP reporter, how he described the journalists in Gaza. They're either sympathetic to Hamas, they're intimidated by Hamas, or they are Hamas. And so that's why you get the coverage you get emanating from Gaza vis-a-vis Israel. That's sort of the same thing we have here with this Bolshevik revolution, or this Bolshevik revolutionary element that is methodically taking over the neo-Marxist party. This was sort of a telling comment that was made about the elections in the run-up. The DSA co-chair, Democrat Socialists of America co-chair in New York, is a guy named Gordillo, and Gustavo Gordillo. And he explained the DSA's approach vis-a-vis this vehicle that they're subsuming called the Democrat Party.
Our candidates run as Democrats. We're on the Democratic Party ballot line. We contest the primaries. And when they're in the legislature, they're part of the Democratic Party caucus. But we don't agree with the way the Democratic Party establishment organizes or runs its party apparatus. And so we try to build independence by focusing on volunteer-led movement. We think that everyone should be able to be trained and to become someone who can participate in the political process. And we don't really think that Democratic Party campaigns in the establishment are run that way. And I think you really see that difference in the races like we're having tonight. And I think in terms of the agenda, there's a problem in the Democratic Party where they are funded by billionaire donors, and at the same time, they're trying to represent the working class. And in our opinion, you have to choose between the billionaire class and the working class. It's just impossible to satisfy all of them.
Raheen Salam, writing over at the Free Press about America's Islam paradox. The most committed voices of Muslim anti-Americanism in the U.S. are not marginalized newcomers. They're privileged cosmopolitan insiders who lead largely secular lives. Yeah. Which is, again, not unusual if you've studied some of these leftist revolutions. A couple of points he makes about Mamdani and American Muslims. The question for policymakers, writes Salam, is not whether American Muslims are a growing political force. That's beyond dispute. Mamdani, Tlaib, Omar, Abdul al-Sayed, who could be the nominee for Senate in Michigan. And others. It's whether American institutions are thinking clearly about what that growth portends, the growth in the political force of American Muslims. You may see it on display at the local level, sort of microcosm, places like Dearborn, Michigan. The answer, writes Salam, turns on two ideological tendencies within the American Muslim population that are distinct in their character, that different in their dangers, yet mutually reinforcing. The first is Islamism. This is a transnational revolutionary ideology that seeks to capture state power in order to impose Sharia law, and that rejects any separation between religious authority and political life. We've talked about that, at least with some regularity since 9/11, and it's remarkable how few Americans retain the lessons. The second is third worldism, which I was referring to before. Jean-Paul Sartre and Frantz Fanon, these are intellectual North Stars for Mamdani. It's a fusion of anti-Zionism and anti-Westernism and anti-capitalism that places the sacralized victimhood of Palestinian Arabs at the center of a larger struggle against American imperialism. Unlike Islamism, third worldism is not primarily religious-based ideology. Its most committed adherents, much as Mamdani himself, tend to lead largely secular lives, but in important respects, it presents the more consequential long-term ideological challenge, where jihadism targets American civilians as part of the larger struggle to overthrow quote-unquote apostate regimes in the Muslim world. Third worldism endeavors to transform the nation's ideological, intellectual milieu, shaping how Americans, well beyond the Muslim minority, understand their country and its place in the world. And this is where you get the college-educated dilettantes adopting this posture that America 1619 Project was one effort at this Free Palestine is another illustration of it, that America is fundamentally bad, that we have been forever stained by the quote-unquote occupation of Native Americans' land and the institution of slavery. It's hardwired into our DNA, and nothing can change that except this revolutionary politics that elevates people from around the world over American citizens by eliminating the distinction between the two. And this is their path to power.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
This 4th of July, celebrate America the right way. Fire up the grill, invite the family over, launch the fireworks, and proudly display a handcrafted wooden American flag from UniqueWoodenFlags.com. These stunning hand-finished wooden flags are built with real craftsmanship and patriotic pride. Whether you want a classic American flag, military tribute flag, America First design, or a beautiful flag cross that celebrates both faith and freedom, they've got something for every proud American. Perfect for your home, office, man cave, lake house, garage, or as a meaningful gift for veterans, first responders, and patriots who still love this country. This Independence Day, don't just wave the flag, display it with pride. Visit UniqueWoodenFlags.com today. That's UniqueWoodenFlags.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Ron on the south side, quickly, Ron.
Hey.
Go ahead, Ron.
Yeah. Hey, Dan, one of the things that I always think about with these people, certainly they have read about the ideology. Have they ever lived there? See, and the reason I mention that, because Eldridge Cleaver, Minister of Information for the Black Panthers, wrote Soul on Ice. So in the 90s, he was in exile. I heard him on the interview. I listened to the tape all the time. He said, I lived in those countries. Now, yeah, he just one person. He said, because they was all, you sold out. You came back, became a successful businessman. He said, but the people that criticize me have not lived in those countries. So I just wanted to go there. Go there. If you go there, you at these universities, go there. Maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
And then come back. But yeah, you had a gentleman, I was trying to get his name. I was trying to find that piece that you were reading yesterday. He was talking about Afghanistan and the different power failures.
Lee Smith.
Do you have his name?
Yeah, Lee Smith. Lee Smith in Tablet Magazine. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Lee Smith. That was excellent. So, yep, I just wanted to point that out there. They're doing all that talking, but living in the best country. And that's what Eldridge Cleaver said.
Yeah.
He said this is still the best country to live in.
Thanks for the call. Yeah, I know that like when Hassan Piker and the Code Pink ladies go down to Cuba, they return. They return to sing its praises, but they're just visiting. They don't want to stay long term. Talk to people who live behind the Iron Curtain, who escaped communist China, escaped the Cultural Revolution. I mean, they know the death and destruction, this path that the neo-Bolsheviks would take us down. You know, where the death and destruction that is found at the end of that path. They know, and hopefully more people will listen. All right, let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
634, 63 degrees. We've had some fog this morning and partly sunny skies. Storms moved through the Chicago area Wednesday evening, leaving damage in some places like Algonquin and Streamwood. A traffic and transit note for the morning. Due to a freight train derailment last night between East Chicago and Gary, service has been suspended on the South Shore commuter rail line between Millennium Station and South Bend. The Federal Reserve this morning says all 32 of the nation's biggest banks have passed its annual stress test. The test, required under the Dodd-Frank Act, assesses whether banks' capital levels would stay robust despite significant projected losses. Earthquakes around the world this morning. 164 have died, over 1,000 injured after a pair of powerful quakes rocked Venezuela. A quake also shook Tokyo and Japan. A 7.2 quake striking off the coast of Japan, but right now there is no danger of a tsunami. President Trump defending his decision not to sign the bipartisan housing bill for now.
I made billions of dollars with housing. I know housing better than anybody, maybe anywhere. It's all about the interest rate. Lower the interest rates, you can have all the housing you want.
A bill meant to help buyers with the goal of lowering prices had previously sailed through the House and Senate. A proposed data center in the northwest suburbs drawing residents to protest Wednesday evening.
We feel like we've been totally ignored. The public hearings that we've had are totally just like political theater. It's just a formality. They've already made up their mind.
Plum Farms stretches around 185 acres near Route 59 in Higgins Road. It's a project, the third data center for Hoffman Estates, and this one proposed by the company Caris Critical. The Bears are hosting fans at Hallis Hall for 10 training camp practices, all beginning in July and going through August. The Cubs scored 20 runs to claim both games of their double dip with the Mets, 10-3 and 10-5. White Sox failed to sweep out the Guardians following a 4-3 loss in 10 at home. The news a service of AM 560's Advantage, where membership has its privileges, and you can join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher explains the new feel of politics.
Everybody is on edge. Everybody's tense. Everybody
recognizes there's something different this year. I understand why it's different now. The left is playing by a whole different set of rules. They are starting to openly declare what needs to be done with more than half of the country.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you ever wondered, with all the different religions and interpretations of the Bible, how you can be sure that you're on the right path in your spiritual journey? The powerful new book, You and God by Peter Philippi, helps you answer this question and discover how to establish a truly personal relationship with God through biblical understanding and faith. Get your copy of You and God by Peter Philippi today by visiting pbmusa.org. That's pbmusa.org.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny new gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix. And it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this: Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
6:41 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident with injuries in Summit this morning. Archer Avenue at 60th Street. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, already a tap of the brakes. Bryn Mawr up to Hollywood. Accident on the entrance ramp, I-55 in Will County. It's southbound on the on-ramp from North River Road. Traffic, a service of Lowe's. Party at your place this summer? During July 4th deals at Lowe's, save $80 on select Charbroil Performance Series gas grills. Now $2.99. Get up to a 45% off select rebate voucher with major appliances. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of the forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Partly sunny for the midday. Then a shower in spots for the afternoon and a high near 80.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So yesterday, President Trump had a busy schedule, lunch with Senate Republicans, but he also had a sit-down with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. And the Secretary General has been a big Trump fan, and he offered praise again yesterday. It's very interesting, too, for those who are so obsessed with the U.S.-Israel alliance, so concerned that Israel is banging the drums of war, and that served as a siren song for President Trump, if I can mix my metaphors, and that's what got us into this, and Israel is the problem. We need to re-examine our relationship with Israel. We had the conversation in part at the end of yesterday's show with a Cato Institute researcher, policy advocate. Well, what about Europe? Because according to the Secretary General, they're very appreciative. The Europeans, the G7 countries, very appreciative of what Trump has done vis-a-vis Israel as well. They may not be as interested in getting their hands dirty, quite clearly, as Trump did. But, why the singular focus for those who do that on Israel when the support for what Trump has done to this point is much broader than that in allies not named Israel, among allies not named Israel?
A few things I want to share with the media, with you being here at present, and it's about your leadership. First of all, about Iran. I really want to make clear how important it is what you are doing on Iran. This is, first of all, about the nuclear capability Iran was basically getting its hands on. And that would have been a threat to the region. It would have been a threat to the whole world. This is a country which is exporting chaos. It is exporting terrorism. And they were very near to getting their hands on the nuclear capability. You've seen last week with the G7, all the leaders in the G7 applauding the fact that this nuclear capability has been degraded. This is extremely important. And I just want to make this clear, because sometimes people think, why was this whole Iran thing going on? This is about security, about safety. This is the leader of the free world taking responsibility beyond the shores of the United States for the rest of the world. And this is what you did. I know there have been debates about whether your allies in Europe were with you enough.
Yeah, and he said they weren't. But the point is what Mark Rutte had to say about NATO and G7 countries, those European countries that are often antagonistic towards Israel, but yet appreciative of what Trump has done to stop the Iranians from obtaining a nuclear weapon. Something to factor in when you hear people who are obsessed about narrowcasting this conversation in the direction of Israel. Trump on what he wants, what he wanted from the allies in the same sit-down and press availability with the Secretary General.
All right, now, do you
Just
have
be loyal.
an ask?
I just want their loyalty. We don't need their money. We don't need anything. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. But I just want loyalty. We're so loyal to them. We're always fighting for them. We have thousands of troops all over Europe. In Germany, we have 50,000 troops. And then you want give us a little nudge, give us a little kiss. We don't want much. And they say, no, we can't do it. We're paying hundreds of millions of dollars for the troops that we have in Germany, the troops that we have in UK, the troops that we have all over Europe. I will say Poland was very good. I endorsed him.
Yes. And in addition to that, going back to the Secretary General, he talked about the Trump $1 trillion impact. The Trump $1 trillion impact on Western civilization's security interests combined with America's economic interests.
This chart is about the Trump trillion. The Trump trillion shows you the increase Europeans and Canadians are paying into defense since you took office in 2017. Right. Trump 45 plus Trump 47. A total of extra spent by the Europeans and the Canadians of 1.2 trillion. When you look at the effect of Trump 47, so the isolated effect of the extra defense spending in 2025 and in 2026, You see almost $140 billion extra spent nominal on defense by the Europeans and the Canadians. And also this year you will again see an increase by about 120 billion, which brings a total in 2 years of over $250 billion. I can assure you this is because of Russia, because of the threat, but I'm also absolutely convinced that you being President of the United States, being consistently pushing for something which since Eisenhower has not been achieved, which is the Europeans equalizing their defense spending with the United States, this is your evidence. Then, when it comes to jobs, look here. In total, 195,000 jobs being supported by investments. Investments from European companies into the United States, 83,000 jobs supported by that. 112,000 jobs created by the fact that Europeans are massively, about half of all their defense spending when it comes to defense industrial output is spent in the United States. 112,000 jobs. Last year they spent $54 billion on US defense industrial output. There is now an order catalog, an order backlog of $300 billion. So $300 billion of defense spending from Europeans, buying this in the US over the next couple of years, which is already on the order book. Last year, 54 billion, a total now order book of 300 billion, totally almost 200,000. These are real jobs, real people. Like you had yesterday when you spoke in Pennsylvania, the people behind you.
Impressive. I mean, that's impressive leadership, and that's America First at its best under this president. 312-642-5600. The alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. Marco Rubio also chiming in on a number of topics, making himself available to the press. Interesting development. Maybe tightening up the administration's position on various issues surrounding the pending MOU with the Iranians. On tolling the Strait of Hormuz, which is sort of a back and forth, as all aspects of this have been. What the Iranians say privately, you can't trust. What they say publicly, you also can't trust. But it's important to stake out our position, make that clear. Rubio did.
I think the whole world will be against any mechanism that charges money to use an international waterway. It's that simple. The president's already said it. That's not going to happen. When we mean open the straits, we mean open the straits free in international waterways. So we'll express that tomorrow. I am certain that not only will every country in the Gulf region be supportive, probably with the exception of Iran, but all the GCC members will be supportive, but the whole world will be supportive. I know of no country on the planet that supports tolling or a fee for the use of the straits. That's not going to happen. The president has been abundantly clear.
And as it pertains to the Islamist sympathizing DC press corps trying to exacerbate division between the United States and Israel by suggesting things that are without foundation?
Do you believe, as some elements of U.S. intelligence have assessed, that Israel is interested in undermining the current MOU?
I don't know. What intelligence are you talking about? Where are you getting that from?
Reported.
Well, but it's being reported, then it's fake.
Do you believe that to be true?
I don't know where you're getting that stuff from. We're working on this. The Israelis exactly know what we're working on. All of our partners in the region know what we're working on. Everybody understands what the president's red lines and positions are on this. I don't know what reports you're referencing.
Nice to have Marco Rubio back in the conversation.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
What's with the ladder?
And the bowling ball.
I'm testing the unsmushable Qualix Ultrafoam in Penny Mustard's Motion Sectional.
By dropping a bowling ball on it?
Among other things.
Like what?
Let's see. Kettlebell, cinder block, giant bag of sand, tractor tire, a full set of encyclopedias.
You don't have to do this.
The Qualix Ultrafoam seats in our Motion Sectionals have already been proven to stay supportive and comfortable for the life of the sofa.
Plus, it's a motorized recliner that allows you to adjust to the exact centimeter of comfort.
If you'll excuse me, these heavy items aren't going to drop themselves.
Wait, are you also dropping a dog on the sectional?
No, that's a St. Bernard to rescue me when I get trapped under all this stuff.
The forever comfortable Motion Sectional, American made with a solid wood frame and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at just $62.95 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Unsmushable versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. Is your life filled with I can't raise my arms, I can't climb stairs, I can't kneel down, I can't take a long walk or golf with the guys? Well, today's a new day, so take action. Make it a day to celebrate what you can do. And that's exactly what QC Kinetics patients are doing. Back to enjoying their lives again thanks to the innovative treatments offered at QC Kinetics. I've seen the results and thus personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. So many of you have been through their life-changing regenerative treatments done right in the office. No missing work, no surgery, no long recovery, and the inflammation calms down. So schedule a free consultation. You don't have to live a life of I can't. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics. Tell them I sent you when you do. The treatments are natural. So don't watch the summer pass you by yet again. Take action today by scheduling an appointment right now. Consultations are free. Call 312-827-6261. Again, that number, 312-827-6261. Make it a pain-free summer by calling QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff, probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You've got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
You know I don't push products I don't believe in, so listen up because this one I love and recommend to friends and listeners. It's Virago Liquid Immune Support. Now, I spoke with Dr. Hubert, the creator of Virago, and let me tell you, this man knows immune health like nobody's business. He explained to me the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body fights back against viruses, disease, inflammation, all of it. That's why he created Virago. It's a liquid immune boosting supplement packed with 23 powerful nutraceuticals working together in synergy. It's antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and even protects your heart, kidneys, and liver. And because it's liquid, your body absorbs it quickly. I mix Virago in my smoothies. I feel the difference, and you will too.
So order your bottle of Virago today at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE.
AM 560, The Answer.
Somebody called for a Kamala Harris word salad earlier in the hour, and I like to abide. This is Kamala Harris with some inspirational words in a conversation with fellow deep thinker Don Lemon about the light that's in all of us. Be inspired, won't you?
I really, truly believe this. We each have light inside of us. And we need to know that that is what inspires our hope as much as anything external to ourselves. And when we feel that and not allow an election or an individual to dampen that light, and instead let that light kind of carry us, in particular through moments of darkness, that we not only act on that hope, but we inspire that hope in each other. And in particular at this moment, it is so important that we not only have hope, but that we understand that that should be a verb.
I think Jewish Elvis sang it better.
Turn on your heart light.
There it is. Come on.
Let it shine wherever you go. Let it make a happy glow for all the world to see.
Yeah, that's what she's saying. Maybe there's still time for a duet. Neil Diamond and Kamala Harris. He has too much artistic integrity, I suspect. Coming up at 7:07. We'll turn our attention to continuing this conversation we started in part just now about the state of negotiations between the U.S. and Iranians. Bill Roggio, senior fellow at the Foundation for Defensive Democracies, joins us. And then you want to stay tuned to the bottom of the hour because we're going to have the great Gary Sinise on to talk about the Rockin' for Our Vets concert that's coming up next month, week after the 4th. Gary Sinise at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour. It is now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A disaster in Venezuela. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Two powerful earthquakes a minute apart flattened homes and buildings, killing at least 164 people. Almost 1,000 are injured. More are buried in the rubble, and the U.S. is helping.
We're already deploying search and rescue teams from Fairfax County, Virginia, and Los Angeles.
The Secretary of State Marco Rubio a short time ago.
There'll be some others we'll add. That's their most immediate need right now is search and rescue efforts. They have a bunch of collapsed buildings, and so they'll need a lot of help in terms of digging through that.
And the U.S. will send other assistance.
The twin quakes had magnitudes of 7.2 and 7.5, the strongest to hit Venezuela in more than a century. Damage has been reported in several states. In the capital, Caracas, which was badly hit, power is out for many, and the city's metro system and airport have been closed.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Back to Secretary Rubio. He spoke in Bahrain after meeting with leaders of Gulf countries talking about Iran.
One thing that came across very clear is there is zero support among the Gulf countries for any sort of toll or fees or anything that charges for the use of international waters.
This has more oil and other shipping moves through the Strait of Hormuz after the U.S. and Iran signed a deal and continue nuclear talks. And Rubio's hopeful Israel and Lebanon can work out peace versus Hezbollah.
You're not going to have peace and stability in this region as long as there are non-state actors operating within the boundaries and borders of sovereign countries and being funded by Iran.
Well, Hezbollah and Iran are demanding Israel withdraw from Lebanon. A reversal at the Senate, rejecting a war powers resolution to limit U.S. actions in Iran the day after approving it. Though President Trump calls the resolution meaningless, two Republicans had switched their votes, including Bill Cassidy, after he and the president shouted at each other during a lunch meeting.
And if someone tries to bully me to say, wait a second, because I am whatever I am, I'm going to bully you, I ain't going to put up with that.
The president is also demanding senators approve a voter ID bill that also restricts mail-in balloting as a federal judge blocks a Trump executive order on new voting rules. America's listening to Fox News.
Sunshine in Chicago, 64 degrees. We've had some fog this morning in the QC Kinetics newsroom, and we see partly sunny skies throughout the day with a high near 80. But last night, severe storms moved through the Chicago area. leaving behind some damage.
Right when the wind gust came, we saw a branch fall down, and then shortly after that, the entire tree kind of came with it, and it actually landed on a portion of the house.
Heavy rain fell in Lamont, more than 2 inches, 2.5 inches in Chicago Heights, around an inch in Maryville, Indiana. A 28-year-old man has been charged in the stabbing of another man on a CTA Blue Line train. Aaron Hawkins of Chicago faces 1 felony count of aggravated battery in use of a deadly weapon, also 1 felony count of aggravated battery involving a transit employee or a passenger. A proposed data center in the northwest suburbs drawing residents to protest Wednesday evening.
We feel like we've been totally ignored. The public hearings that we've had are totally just like political theater. It's just a formality. They've already made up their mind.
Plum Farms is a project proposed by the company Caris Critical. Residents allege it's a 5-building, 300-megawatt data center, 10 times larger than one Caris tried to build in Naperville, voted down earlier this year. Evanston Mayor Daniel Biss officially stepping down this fall, announcing during his final State of the City address he'll resign October 18. The resignation comes after he won the March Democrat primary for Illinois' 9th congressional district. Cubs scored 20 runs yesterday in a pair of games and wins over the Mets 10-3 and 10-5, while the White Sox failed to sweep the Guardians, falling in 10 4-3. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlow hopes Musk will keep helping.
What will he do with his trillions? And it'd be pretty cool if he stayed in the political realm and started to fund a lot of stuff, because we need so much help. We need so much help on the right. I really want to make a big list of all the billionaire funders who are ruining the country, but we need to get our own, because that's the system, it's the way it works. So hopefully Musk stays on Team MAGA.
The Alex Marlow Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when pain is a part of everyday life. Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, which is one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, or just daily living. It's 100% drug-free, research-based formula, no prescription, no masking of symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. My pain almost stopped me. My hands were so bad I couldn't even button my own shirt. I couldn't paint. I couldn't write. And Tanya was the one who told me, I'm not listening to you whine anymore unless you try everything. Try Relief Factor. I did. It helped me get my life back. As America celebrates her 250 years of independence, give yourself the chance to reclaim yours. To commemorate, Relief Factor is offering a special patriotic price at $17.76, so you can pursue your happiness being pain-free. $17.76, 3-week quick starts ready for you right now. Relief Factor, because freedom just feels better without pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com. ReliefFactor.com. 800-4-RELIEF.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only 2 good things about aging: wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accident, right shoulder on the Stevenson inbound at Ashland Avenue. Also delays on the Ike this morning outbound between Cicero and First. Kennedy inbound, Cumberland to Foster. It's all tied up. And an accident on the Reagan I-88 westbound right at Route 53. Traffic, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows. Subscribe free. 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now we'll check the forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will bring partly sunny skies and warmer temperatures with a chance of a shower in the area this afternoon, reaching a high of 80. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low of 60. Tomorrow is expected to be pleasant with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 71. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Craig Bolanos, powered by VestGen Wealth Partners, Sunday morning at 10 on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560 The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So President Trump, after his lunch meeting with Republican senators, among other things, came out and said, oil prices are down and everything is going swimmingly. The Iranians are giving me everything I want. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, with Brett Baer, saying, those Iranian hawks who are critical of this MOU are the modern-day Baghdad Bobs.
Selling oil. It was going to China, but at a discount. It is a carrot that we can always pull back. We want them to see what it feels like not having the sanctions on, and then we can always put them back on.
Their economy is hurting, though, obviously. Devastated.
Devastated. They got more than 100% inflation. Troops weren't getting paid. So we have laid their economy to waste, and that's what brought them to the table.
So when you hear the Iranians, maybe it's the IRGC, with this public relations saying the IAEA inspectors are not coming, the Strait of Hormuz is closed, all of these things day to day get picked up.
What amazes me is the same people, a lot of the hawks in the U.S. who say you can't believe anything the Iranians say unless they say it about the negotiations, right? Like, believe them for the negotiations. Remember Baghdad Bob from Iraq? It's kind of Tehran Tim, right? Like, it's just a lot of big talk, and let's just see how this cooks out. But I'm optimistic.
For more on this, please be joined by Bill Roggio, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies and editor of that organization's Long War Journal. Bill, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So, the brimming optimism of both President Trump, Iran is being nice, and they're giving me everything I want, and Scott Bessent saying that things are going swimmingly. We're giving them a taste of sanctions-free, blockade-free living in the hopes that they act constructively and don't believe what they say publicly, believe what we say they're saying privately.
Yeah, I think the Baghdad Bob comment's pretty offensive. And, if we believed what they said privately, I'll go back to Afghanistan and keep in mind President Trump's excellent deal there that led to the collapse of our U.S.-supported Afghan government. We were told that everything the Taliban said behind the scenes was positive, and meanwhile they did nothing that they agreed upon in that deal. This is what these jihadists, these Islamic extremists do when they negotiate, right? They'll tell you behind the scenes, sure, we'll work with you, we'll agree, and then they don't. They don't live up to their agreements. Look, I was skeptical of this war from the very beginning because my concern isn't our capabilities. The U.S. military is very capable of achieving any mission you put in front of them. It's our will. And I looked at Afghanistan. I look at the attempt to suppress the Houthis in the Red Sea. We gave to the Houthis. And we're caving to Iran here. I mean, Iran is getting all of the benefits and giving up nothing. The agreement on the nuclear program. That's just they agreed to negotiate. What have the Iranians actually given up here? The Strait of Hormuz remains closed. They could put all of the positive spin that they want on this memorandum of understanding, and it doesn't make it positive. I mean, they're putting lipstick on a pig here, and the reality is I would like to see the Iranian regime defeated. I would like to see this government overthrown, but this administration has not. I think it rushed into this war. It thought it could have an easy victory like Venezuela, which, by the way, still remains to be seen. And it did not account for the commitment, the ideological fervor that these Islamic regimes operate under. This isn't a Wall Street transaction or a New York real estate transaction or a negotiation between the U.S. and Canada or Europe. These are fundamentally different cultures, different ways of operating, and I don't think President Trump understands this.
The Strait of Hormuz is not open. Trump, 19 million barrels of oil moving through the strait, all-time record is what I heard.
Yeah, look, that's an absolute fallacy. At a regular day from February 27th, prior, about 140 to 160 ships passed through the Strait of Hormuz daily. I think the max that we had since this deal was signed was somewhere between 20 to 40 ships. We're still at a fraction of it. The Iranians just issued a threat today that any ships that are not passing through its waterways, the channel that it has designated, can be under threat because some ships are trying to pass along the UAE and Omani coast. The Iranians don't like this. If this operation was so successful, why do the Iranians still essentially control the Strait of Hormuz? Why is their government still in power? And if they were absolutely defeated, why did the U.S. government have to sign a deal with the Iranians that does not look very good on paper or in practice?
Would it have been better, in your view, if President Trump did sort of Operation Midnight Hammer 2.0, go in, take out their Air Force, take out their Navy, destroy their, industrial base, or at least cripple it for, 5, 10, 15 years, depending on, the state of their economy and ability to rebuild, and say, that's what we did. We wanted to make sure they're not getting a nuclear weapon. They're not getting one on my watch, and other presidents are going to have to follow suit. And leave it there rather than get into this business of trying to possibly foment a revolution inside the country to depose the whatever was left of a somewhat decapitated power structure. And then it was trying to bootstrap when that wasn't working with blockades and bellicose rhetoric and some additional strikes, but nothing that crippled the regime or took out the IRGC. So it was it sort of, to your point about the will, once the initial foray you knew was going to work because we just have overwhelming capacity for that piece of it. Then when it didn't achieve the desired quick, easy victory that you say, it's been bootstrapping ever since with half measures. And so maybe it would have been better to do Midnight Hammer 2.0, declare victory, and walk at, frankly, some Republican senators like Josh Hawley had suggested.
I could not agree with you more. It was a mistake. Look, I think the mistake, the fallacy in all of this, and I call it, we got shalabied by the Iranian opposition, right? They told Ahmed Chalabi told us that the Iraqis would welcome us with open arms after the Second Gulf War and set us up. That's what happened here. The Iranian opposition said the Iranians would rise up. Well, that never happened. And and the Trump administration, as you noted, bootstrapped from there. The best thing they could have done was hammer the Iranians. If they had the will to see this through, if they had the capacity. Look, President Trump said the day of I think it was the day within 24 hours of the deal being signed that I'm paraphrasing here, but he said we could have bombed for 2, 3, 4 weeks for 2 years and we wouldn't reopen the Strait of Hormuz. If he knew that, why did he go down this route? Or did he learn that in the process? To me, it tells me that they thought they were going to have a quick victory, the regime would be overthrown, and none of that happened. And so he's been improvising ever since. Well, the reality is the regime is in power. It remains in power. There was not regime change. Like, when Secretary Higgs said, our goal isn't regime change, but the regime has changed. What's changed about this regime? Absolutely nothing has changed.
Just the names. Right.
Yeah, just names, right? The son took over from the father. Some people, who colonels who are now generals and things of that nature. Nothing has fundamentally changed. This was like you said, a Midnight Hammer 2. My complaint about Midnight Hammer 1 was one day of strikes and declaring that the entire program was destroyed. We would have been better off of the summer last year of launching a multi-day campaign to do all of this and done it all in that short span. Destroy their Navy, destroy their Air Force, go after the means of production for the military and nuclear weapons, go after leadership, and walked away then. Why we did a one and done day of strikes last summer was puzzling, and this operation has been puzzling. And I want to be very clear, I'm not critical of the military here. The military is operating on the orders of the President of the United States. And this, to me, this operation just was poorly planned.
Well, it seems impossible to believe that, or at least implausible, that there wasn't an understanding of what the Iranians' moves would be. I mean, the wargaming with the Iranians for so many years, through so many administrations, what the Iranians would do, what they thought their aces in the hole were, like the Strait of Hormuz. What would be required to forcibly open the strait if they did indeed close the strait. There had to be assessments on that, and maybe the decision is that the cost is too high. But if you made that determination that if this happened, the cost would be too high for us to respond in a way that was necessary to eliminate their, to properly counter their response, well, then that should probably have tempered the expectations you created in the public's mind going into this. I'm a little confused because I'm confused by the positions the administration has taken on the various aspects of this conflict. They seem to be taking multiple mutually exclusive positions on these various issues, and so it's a little bit difficult to know. Like, would it, if you oppose. Or if you wanted regime change, or if you wanted to forcibly reopen the strait, that would require 50 to 1,000 boots on the ground. It would require 1 million boots on the. I mean, you just hear all sorts of wild estimates and statements, and I don't know. I don't hold myself out as a military expert, or what would it take to reopen the strait by force. But you have to make some sort of have some sort of accounting. It seems to me for the decisions that you're making with not without disclosing too much to your enemies. I get that. And there hasn't been any sort of, again, unified theory about the approach being taken. And people have questions. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Let me just sort of give you as specific an explanation as I can without compromising anything that can't be compromised. I mean, something like that. There's nothing. The only person who comes close to that, and he sort of seems to me bailing water for the administration, is Marco Rubio. But there's just nothing that helps bring people along to provide sort of the coherent thread to the approach.
You could not be more correct, sir. The messaging from this administration has been abysmal. We have had multiple conflicting messages about this operation from the beginning. They would have been better off just saying as little as possible and sticking with a single narrative. But President Trump, he's just not capable of that. And it trickles down throughout the government. You notice that Marco Rubio, he's the Secretary of State. He should be leading the negotiations right now. but it's not him. It's fallen to J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance. That to me is a very powerful message about Rubio's opinion on all of this. And I don't want to be overly critical. My problem with all of this is the instincts of the administration, the threat that Iran poses both to the American public, to the region, to the world, is significant, and it warrants action. But we cannot excuse poor strategy, and that's what we're saying, poor communications. Even with this vote in the Senate yesterday, right? Like President Trump is hailing that as a victory. You had to get a reversal, and you eked out basically a split. The American public support for this is below 50%. The messaging matters, and it should have been. The messaging should have been disciplined from the beginning, and it's been anything but. We were told this would be over in days. Then we were told it was over in weeks. We were told the regime has changed. Here's the ultimate messaging. We don't even know who we're negotiating with, and the regime's in disarray, but we cut an agreement with them that they're going to follow. Does that make any sense to anyone? If you're confused, you're confused for the right reason. This is extremely confusing.
Well, and the other issue too is, the how brazen will their violations of the component parts of the MOU need to be before you're compelled to take additional action? So, for example, your colleague Mark Dubowitz at FDD reporting that Iran has deployed as many as 150 IRGC officers to Lebanon directing Hezbollah operations. So the end of Iran financing, providing material support to their terrorist proxies, fomenting conflict with Israel so they can turn around and blame Israel and use that as the predicate to not comply with the terms of the MOU to which they're allegedly agreeing in private. I mean, this is all so transparent what they're doing. And I guess to some extent you can be willfully blind and you can accentuate the positives like you've heard from Trump and Bessent yesterday. But if the inspections don't happen and Iran really decides that they're going to take a more aggressive posture to antagonize this administration, then what do you do? Then you've really got yourself in a bad way, because now you're going back to military strikes, into Labor Day or beyond, with the midterms looming, since that clearly has been part of what has influenced the decision making.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree with you more. This is why this is extremely problematic. Note that the Iran support for its proxies, its terror proxies throughout the Middle East and beyond, is not on that list. You're absolutely correct. The reason that Iran has linked the Hezbollah-Israel conflict to this is a reason for it to walk away or delay negotiations. So the U.S. is providing sanctions relief. It's going to provide supposedly the U.S. isn't going to fund this, but reconstruction aid, allow $300 billion in reconstruction aid. In exchange for what? This is where I'm like, what are the Iranians doing? And if the answer is reopen the Strait of Hormuz, the Strait of Hormuz was open February 27th, before this war started. The Iranians are really allowing the status quo while we're giving up all of these things, the lifting of the blockade, all of the things that the U.S. is providing. These are all concessions. I see zero concessions from the Iranians here. And even if you read the paragraph, by the way, we've all signed car loans and rental agreements and car rental agreements that are far longer than a page-and-a-half memorandum of understanding. There's no talk of enforcement. We had the same problem that we had with the deal that President Trump signed with the Taliban. There's nothing about enforcement mechanisms or anything in these agreements, and that's just how the Iranians like it, because it gives them all of the wiggle room that they need to say, well, it doesn't say it here on this piece of paper.
Bill Roggio is a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, editor of that organization's Long War Journal. Bill, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Great conversation.
And Bill joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. Is your life filled with I can't? I can't raise my arms. I can't climb stairs. I can't kneel down. I can't take a long walk or golf with the guys. Well, today's a new day. Take action. A day to celebrate what you can do. And that's exactly what QC Kinetics patients are doing. Back to enjoying their lives again thanks to the innovative treatments offered at QC Kinetics. I've seen the results and personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. So many of you have been through their life-changing regenerative treatments done right in the office. No missing work, no surgery, no long recovery. The inflammation calms down. I want you to schedule a free consultation. You don't have to live a life of I can't. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics and tell them I sent you when you do. Their treatments are natural, so don't watch summer pass you by again. Take action today. Schedule an appointment right now. Consultations are free. Call 312-827-6261. Again, that number, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics to be pain-free this summer at 312-827-6261.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. Did you know the IRS has programs specifically designed to help people struggling with tax debt? Powerful tax assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution firm, A-rated by the Better Business Bureau. Their award-winning tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $3 billion of tax debt for their clients. One call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries about wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Find the best options to solve your tax problems. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief today for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hello, everyone. Gary Sinise here. I'm thrilled to share that me and the Lieutenant Dan Band are returning to Cantini Park in Wheaton, Illinois, where we will be rocking for our vets. Join us on July 11th for the West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans America 250 concert, saluting our veterans and supporting your veteran community. Tickets are on sale now at WSFDV.org, and I can't wait to see you there. Let's rock for our vets.
Hey, it's Scott Tucker and my new co-host,
Amy Jacobson,
on AM 560. We wanted you to know that we have a special show every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. here on AM 560, The Answer. It is Retirement Dakota with Scott Tucker and
Amy Jacobson.
It's every Sunday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. 2-hour show, 2-hour radio extravaganza. Amy, we're going to tantalize the listening public and the listening private with all kinds of retirement planning information. So tune in at AM 560 Sunday mornings at 7 a.m.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio, video, and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's KOLE digital.com, or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
AM 560, The Answer.
Golly gee, a lot of people upset with my conversation with Bill Roggio. You don't know. Arrogance abound. Why would Trump reveal everything? First of all, straw man arguments are a leading indicator of weak arguments. No one said Trump should reveal everything. Said quite the opposite. But if you want to bring the public along in support of your policy, then you have to explain to them what you're doing, why you're doing it, what the strategic vision is, don't you? And when there are legitimate questions that are going to be asked, whether you want them asked or not, then you better have a coherent theory as way of explanation. because there's also a lack of intellectual curiosity and blind loyalty that abounds. Yeah. So, right. Conceding what I don't know, but we're going to ask questions and try to follow the logic. And just attacking your opponent because of your dislike for these uncomfortable questions. Oh, well. Some people cheer, some people boo. I can take it. Coming up at 7:37, joined by famed actor, director, bass player, foundation founder, theater founder, Gary Sinise. We'll talk about his Rockin' for the Vets concert coming up on July 11th at Cantini. That's 7:37. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
65 degrees, sunshine this morning, high near 80 this afternoon. U.S. leaders are pledging to provide assistance to Venezuela in the wake of a deadly earthquake, 2 of them that struck that country on Wednesday. Speaking to reporters in Bahrain, Secretary of State Rubio discussed the role the Pentagon will play.
The Department of War is going to have to play a big logistical role here because they have the ability to land in challenging places. Right now, the airport in Caracas is damaged. One of the runways is cracked. And so, but the Department of War has the capability to land in situations like that.
At least 165 killed, 900 injured so far. And a powerful earthquake struck off the northern coast of Japan during rush hour Thursday morning. But that country's meteorological agency right now says there is no danger of a tsunami. Negotiations between the U.S. and Iran continue, both sides working toward a final agreement to try to end some hostilities in the Middle East. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on hand for the talks.
The Iranian system is going to continue to produce all sorts of maximalist rhetoric. They're going to have people going on their TV, on their official media, and making all kinds of pronouncements. But what we're interested in is not their press conferences. What we're interested in is whether or not ships are moving. If ships are moving as they should be moving, then that's what we're going to judge and that's what we're going to react to.
Secretary Rubio has repeatedly rejected the idea of tolling the strait. Meantime, a series of tankers has made their way out of the Strait of Hormuz, despite threats from Iran's paramilitary Revolutionary Guard. They're using a new route close to Oman shore, promoted by the UN Maritime Agency. Last week, 125 vessels crossed the strait, up from 33 the week before, according to marine data and analysis from Lloyd's List Intelligence. Severe storms moved through the Chicago area Wednesday evening, leaving behind damage in many places.
Right when the wind gust came, we saw a branch fall down, and then shortly after that, the entire tree kind of came with it, and it actually landed on a portion of the house.
Storms mangled homes and streets in the northwest suburbs from Algonquin down to Streamwood. A 28-year-old man has been charged in the stabbing of another man on a CTA Blue Line train. Aaron Hawkins of Chicago faces 1 felony count of aggravated battery with use of a deadly weapon. And Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia is officially launching her re-election campaign, seeking a third term atop an office she says she has transformed. Chicago sports. Cubs scored 20 runs to claim both games of their doubleheader over the Mets, wins of 10-3 and 10-5, while the White Sox failed to sweep out Cleveland following a 4-3 loss in 10. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Hugh Hewitt sees a big win for Trump.
They signed this big second reconciliation, which again, Speaker Johnson pulls a rabbit out of the house. I think this guarantees that the wall will be finished. They have 2.5 years now to finish the entirety of the wall, if it's not already done, to finally seal the southern border with a physical barrier.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Platform safety is so important in your industrial facility. You need to keep personnel safe and meet OSHA requirements. Experience one problem with your platforms, and you could be facing costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to keep your employees safe.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. As a metal fabricator, I know the importance of keeping your workplace safe. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor, uniquely equipped to design, fabricate, and install safety equipment including steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our team of union building trades mechanics can inspect existing systems, engineer solutions, fabricate quality steel products, and install it all, creating a safer workplace environment.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free inspection of your building. See what else they can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com. Quality craftsmanship since 1964.
Right, everybody cares about health, wellness, fitness, nutrition, and so many of us are guessing our way through our health, guessing what foods to eat, what supplements to take, wondering why some things make us feel better than others. Now, that's where Viome comes in. It's a simple, at-home gut health test that uses advanced RNA technology. It analyzes your gut microbiome to understand how your body is truly functioning in this moment. And from there, Viome then creates a personalized food and supplement plan designed specifically for your body. Right, Linda? You've been doing this.
I have been doing it, and the test is easy. It's got great steps. It walks you right through. It's easy to do. You can send it right in.
Take the guesswork out of it. Get real data. Go to VIOME/Hannity. VIOME.com/Hannity today. And when you follow their plan, you can expect better digestion, more energy, improved mood. Stop guessing. Start knowing.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again. Not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family-owned with integrity since 1981.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. Looking for some hope? Listen to Leading the Way with Dr. Michael Youssef on our sister station, AM 1160, Hope for Your Life. Weekday mornings starting at 8.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Team Hochberg traffic center time at 7:40 Stone Park. Report of an accident northbound Mannheim at Lake Street. Route 53 jammed in the construction zone southbound between Rand and Kirchhoff. Delays on DuSable Lakeshore Drive, Stevenson up through Monroe, and on the Ike, an accident right shoulder inbound at Austin. Traffic, a service of Capital One. Earn unlimited double miles on every purchase with Capital One's Venture X business card. Big purchasing power means you can spend much more and earn more. Capital One Venture X business card. What's in your wallet? See CapitalOne.com for details. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now we'll check the forecast. In our Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center, partly sunny with a shower in spots by the afternoon and a high near 80.
The latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Here's a guy after my own heart. Jacob Blackwell. He got a red lights camera ticket in the state of Florida. I thought, they're community by community. Where I am down in Southwest Florida, we don't have those. They're not trying to take from your back pocket what they can't get from your front pocket like we do in Chicagoland. It's terrible, these red light speed cameras. Again, just another instance of government being adverse to the interests of their constituents. But anyway, Jacob Rockwell wasn't having it because he says that, number one, he wasn't there when at the place where he allegedly ran the red light or drove over the line, triggering the camera that generated the ticket. He wasn't there. And number two, the whole matter is unconstitutional. And now the Pensacola City Council has a pain in the neck named Jacob Rockwell.
Now, I'm going to be a little bit meaner than them, so please don't violate my rights. Normally, I wouldn't come to a city council meeting. I'm one of the county's pains in the ass. Historically, I stay out of the city, and the city stays out of my business. It was a pretty decent arrangement. But then y'all sent me one of these tickets from one of your AI red light cameras you have deemed as necessary infrastructure in your city. Thing about this is I was in Seminole, Alabama at the time I allegedly ran this red light downtown. How can I be in two places at once, you ask? Don't worry, I asked myself that too. Outside of Scotty beaming me up 30 miles in an instant, the only logical conclusion is I wasn't there. These things have been deemed unconstitutional for this reason, because the enforcement action of 316.0083 unduly shifts the burden of proof to the vehicle owner, me, to prove my innocence rather than the state having to prove my guilt. Currently, I'm guilty by default. I've been convicted by a computer program. Usually this whole mess of who committed the infraction is settled by a police officer pulling somebody over and actually witnessing them in the driver's seat. The AI camera doesn't do any driver verification whatsoever. To get your constitutionally mandated due process, you have to jump through hoops put up by Automated Enforcement Division, a private company in Orlando that's owned by another corporation called Novoa Global, which is owned by a Chilean-Swedish millionaire named Carlos Hofstedt. So not only does this process flow through a private company, our DMV records and personal registration information are accessible by a foreign actor. But anyway, AED sends you this paper, and if you want to fight this thing because you're wrongfully accused, me again, you can't just request a hearing through PPD or the courthouse. Remember, Carlos is involved, so if you have to go through his company, his website, print off his paper, fill it out with enough information to take out a home loan, have it notarized, mail it to the foreign actor, Carlos in Orlando, and then wait for something from someone to tell you about a hearing. This is undue burden even to begin to try to get some kind of due process. Paying is super easy though, go figure. And about that, you can't pay cash. PPD doesn't accept it, and neither does Carlos. According to 31 U.S.C. 5103, all U.S. currency and coins must be accepted for all government obligations, fines, fees, taxes, and due. So not only does this whole thing violate constitutional due process, it violates federal law by not accepting U.S. currency to satisfy a government action. Whoever thought this was a good idea is a self-loathing, America-hating, bureaucratic hobgoblin whose pockets probably got stacked with Carlos bucks. You got my attention, though. I'm going to become a more frequent voice down here working to expose frauds and petty tyrants. Congratulations, you all got yourselves a new pain in the ass.
That's how you petition your government for redress of grievances. I love it. Gives me hope for America. Jacob Rockwell down there in Pensacola. Coming up, we'll be talking to the great Gary Sinise. We'll be back.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Have you purchased your tickets to Rockin' for Our Vets summer concert yet? If you haven't heard, we talked about it last week. Gary Sinise and his Lieutenant Dan Band are returning to the stage at Cantini for another summer evening. A week after we celebrate 250, July 11th, next month at Cantini Park in Wheaton. Doors open at 2 p.m. Gary Sinise and the Lieutenant Dan Band start at 7. Tickets are $50. You can go to WSFDV.org, WSFDV.org to purchase tickets. You can also go there to see the full list of charities supported by your ticket purchases and the artists that are contributing their time and talents. West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans is the sponsor. That's who we talked about, Michelle Senatore, last week. Talked to, I should say, about this. Again, purchase tickets, $50, WSFDV.org, and we're pleased to be joined again by Gary Sinise. Gary, thanks so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, great to be with you. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you come back to Wheaton and perform. I understand from Michelle that you're not doing as much on the road gigs as you used to do, so you're making a special exception for us here in Chicagoland.
Well, it was great to be there last year. We had played out at Cantini, maybe 10 years in a row for Operation Support Our Troops America.
Yeah.
And then I didn't come for a while, and then Michelle invited me to come back, and I really wanted to do it. I came back last year. It was a wonderful concert, beautiful out there as always, and she asked me to come back again, and I'm all too happy to do it. It's always nice to be back in that area. I grew up there years ago, and always enjoy coming.
And remind our listeners what your foundation, the Gary Sinise Foundation, does, the work that you're committed to.
Well, I started the foundation. We're actually in our 15th. We're coming up on our 15-year anniversary on June 30th. We're having a big sort of gala celebration on the 27th to celebrate 15 years. The foundation serves and honors the needs of the men and women who serve our country, our first responders, their families, our wounded, families of our fallen heroes. We're kind of all over the place because before I started the foundation, I was supporting a lot of different organizations, doing a lot of different types of work in support of our veteran community and first responders. And so when I started my foundation, I just, the mission is very broad. We're kind of all over the place doing a lot of great things. And one of the things we do is provide a lot of entertainment on military bases and military hospitals. I've played hundreds and hundreds of concerts over the last 20 years or so. For the troops and overseas on military bases in the war zones, wherever we continue to do that. I'll be out actually the day before I'm at Cantini. I'm at Fort Hood in Texas, and then the day after I'm at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. So it's going to be a busy weekend, but that's what we're doing at the Gary Sinise Foundation.
I like it. I wanted to get your comments on Tom Dreesen and since he recently passed. We had him on the show several months back, and it was such a joy to talk to him. And one of the many stories he shared when he joined us was about Friends of Abe in Hollywood. And he mentioned you as one of those that he got together with to have this organization, and so obviously you had a relationship with him, and I just wanted to get your your reviews of Tom Dreesen, the life and times of Tom Dreesen.
Tom was one of my dearest friends. I'm very sad that we lost him. He was a heck of a fighter, though. I mean, he fought cancer a couple of times. This last time, he just, it was just too much for him. He's 86 years old. He seemed indestructible to me. I mean, Tom, he was just an incredible guy. Hilarious, of course, super funny, and just the dearest guy, and just very, very charitable. I mean, he donated his time not only to me and my organization, but multiple times over his career, just to raise money for different causes that he believed in. And he was an ambassador for my foundation for the past 14 years. I mean, from the very beginning of my start in the foundation, I asked Tom if he'd be an ambassador for the foundation, go out and do events for us and whatnot. And he just jumped on board. He served in the Navy. He cared about the men and women who served our country. And I'm terribly sad that we've lost him.
Yeah, well said. Talking about Tom Dreesen's life and times too, and all the stories he shared, we got great audience feedback, of course, because he's such. I mean, he lived through so many generations of talented comedians and obviously artists, going back to the Rat Pack and even before. Tim getting his start with Tim Reed in a time where those two were a groundbreaking comedy act and so forth. And I note, your book, Grateful American, A Journey, which Grateful American, A Journey from Self to Service. I mean, as you look back on your career and your start, are there sort of inflection points that really stick out to you as you think about your acting career leading to your philanthropic career?
Oh, no question. The reason the book is called From Self to Service is because, so much of my life in the early days was focused on building a theater company right there in Chicago, Steppenwolf Theater, where, we all, so many of us got our start, and I was focused on, really my acting career and what I wanted to do there and building it. And then I had some success with it. And with veterans in my own family, and great respect for veterans, and having gotten involved with our wounded veterans back when I played Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump and all of that. When September 11th happened, that was an inflection point for sure. That was, in fact, there's a chapter in the book, Grateful American, called Turning Point, and that Turning Point chapter is all about September 11th and what happened to me just personally because of that day, and how I started turning full on towards service work and supporting the men and women who serve our country, and helping charitable organizations that were doing good work on behalf of our troops and first responders and veterans and families and all of that. And I just got more and more and more involved with all of that at a certain point, it just became clear that it was time to start my own organization. And that's what I did 15 years ago when starting the Gary Sinise Foundation. And now and if you look at our mission, it's very broad because, as I said, I was involved in a lot of different efforts before I started the foundation. And since we started the foundation, we've raised over, it's upwards of $700 million in the last 15 years. Wow. That we have deployed those resources all over the place to help all kinds of folks in need that are serving our country. We help other organizations that are doing good work. We can't provide every single program that I'd like to provide, but we provide quite a few programs, and the ones that we can't, that are necessary and helpful, we want to support other organizations that are doing that, so that we can help a lot more people. And so we're able to raise money. We can always use more because we're always expanding in different areas of need. So as a nonprofit, you're always on the hunt for additional dollars so that you can continue the mission and continue to expand the mission as the needs change. And that's what we're doing at the Gary Sinise Foundation.
Well, help Gary Sinise, help those in need, including our veterans. He is going to be here with the Lieutenant Dan Band July 11th, Saturday, July 11th at Cantini Park in Wheaton, of course. Doors open at 2. Gary and the Lieutenant Dan Band go on at 7. Tickets are $50. You can get them at WSFDV.org, West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans. WSFDV.org is where you get tickets. Gary Sinise Foundation, author of Grateful American, A Journey from Self to Service, of course, famed actor. Gary, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
I sure appreciate you having me. Thank you.
And Gary joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I'd like to tell you about a man named Phineas who as a child survived the Holocaust. Phineas survived because Christians hid him from the Nazis, risking everything to save his life. Today, Phineas is in his 80s. He can no longer stand on his own or even leave his home to receive medical care. And when sirens sound and missiles fall, he doesn't have the time or the strength to reach safety. But once again, Christians are helping to save his life. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, a mobile clinic brings doctors and medicine right to Phineas's doorstep, providing care that he otherwise would not receive, especially during a time of war. Phineas said, "Christians saved my life during the Holocaust, and now again, they are helping me." As Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day approaches, remember these precious children of God by lifting them up in prayer, asking for his protection, his comfort, and his peace. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
News, opinion, insight. This is AM 560, The Answer. WIND, Chicago. Streaming at 560theanswer.com on the AM 560 mobile app or tell your smart speaker to play The Answer Chicago.
It wasn't one, it was two powerful earthquakes. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, causing a lot of death and destruction in Venezuela.
In search and rescue, you're trying to get to people while you can still save their lives. They're buried under rubble.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is sending rescue crews and more. At least 164 people were killed, almost 1,000 injured, with more buried in the destruction.
Venezuelan's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, she is warning the death toll expected to climb as emergency crews reach devastated areas and continue pulling victims from collapsed buildings. Now, the powerful 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquake struck just after 6 p.m. yesterday, shaking the capital and surrounding regions.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol. Back to Secretary Rubio. He spoke in Bahrain after meeting with Gulf leaders.
The president has multiple options at his disposal if Iran goes back on their word or if Iran decides they don't want to make a deal.
And as more nuclear talks loom in the push to prevent Iran from having weapons, Rubio also says,
what we're interested in is whether or not ships are moving. If ships are moving as they should be moving, then that's what we're going to judge and that's what we're going to react to.
He's also hopeful about peace in Lebanon.
Israel's occupying part of the country to keep its citizens safe from Hezbollah attacks. A State Department official claimed in a significant demonstration of good faith, Israeli forces had withdrawn from part of its buffer zone in southern Lebanon. That's been swiftly contradicted by both sides. Israeli officials say there will be no withdrawal.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. We got another report on the economy this morning showing higher prices.
Again, inflated numbers. We're talking about the Iran conflict. Month over month, a gain of 0.4%. Year over year, 4.1%.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni. That is the biggest annual increase in what are called personal consumption expenditures since April 2023. But oil prices are down again today. Brent is below what it was. WTI almost there before the Iran conflict, though gas at the pump still nearly $1 a gallon higher. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees in Chicago. 8:02 is our time. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, severe storms moving through the Chicago area Wednesday evening, leaving behind damage in Algonquin and Streamwood.
Right when the wind gust came, we saw a branch fall down, and then shortly after that, the entire tree kind of came with it, and it actually landed on a portion of the house.
Heavy rain fell in Lamont, over 2 inches. Damage and rain in and around Maryville and Griffith, Indiana. And a traffic and transit note for the morning due to freight train derailment last night between East Chicago, Indiana and Gary. Service has been suspended for the morning on the South Shore commuter rail line between Millennium Station and South Bend. Protests last night over a data center in the northwest suburb.
We feel like we've been totally ignored. The public hearings that we've had are totally just like political theater. It's just a formality. They've already made up their mind.
It's on land called Plum Farms, stretching 185 acres in Hoffman Estates, a project proposed by the company Caris Critical. Chicago sports. Cubs scored 20 runs to claim both ends of a double dip over the Mets, 10-5 and 10-3 yesterday, while the White Sox fall to the Guardians 4-3 in 10. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device when you download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Tech stocks are jumping after chip makers Micron Technology and Qualcomm reported strong demand for the artificial intelligence buildup. Crude oil prices have slipped back to levels from before the Iran conflict as tanker traffic through the Strait of Hormuz picked up. Brent crude at $72 a barrel, West Texas Intermediate at $69. The European Union is looking to add more regulations to Amazon and Microsoft operations there. The EU says both companies should be treated as gatekeepers for their cloud computing services. Microsoft says it's engaging constructively with the EU. Discount fashion chain H&M says sales declined in its recent quarter. It was impacted by one-time expenses and cooler weather in Europe, which pushed off sales of warm weather items. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Mike Gallagher believes the left is extremely upset.
They're angry, they're bitter, they're disconnected from reality. We got USA chants at the White House, jets roaring overhead, and the left is just raging, while the rest of us are just happy at the way things are going. The message is clear. They don't love America because America loves Trump.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560, The Answer. Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANSindustrial.com.
What's with the ladder?
And the bowling ball.
I'm testing the unsmushable Qualix Ultrafoam in Penny Mustard's Motion Sectional.
By dropping a bowling ball on it?
Among other things.
Like what?
Let's see. Kettlebell, cinder block, giant bag of sand, tractor tire, a full set of encyclopedias.
You don't have to do this.
The Qualix Ultrafoam seats in our Motion Sectionals have already been proven to stay supportive and comfortable for the life of the sofa.
Plus, it's a motorized recliner that allows you to adjust to the exact centimeter of comfort.
If you'll excuse me, these heavy items aren't going to drop themselves.
Wait, are you also dropping a dog on the sectional?
No, that's a St. Bernard to rescue me when I get trapped under all this stuff.
The forever comfortable Motion Sectional, American made with a solid wood frame and hundreds of fabric and leather options, starting at just $62.95 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Unsmushable versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words weren't written for history books. They were written for you. But it's hard to pursue happiness when pain is a part of everyday life. Relief Factor was created to help people address inflammation, which is one of the most common causes of ongoing aches and pains from aging, overexertion, or just daily living. It's 100% drug-free, research-based formula, no prescription, no masking of symptoms, just real relief so you can keep moving forward. My pain almost stopped me. My hands were so bad I couldn't even button my own shirt. I couldn't paint, I couldn't write. And Tanya was the one who told me, I'm not listening to you whine anymore unless you try everything. Try Relief Factor. I did. It helped me get my life back. As America celebrates her 250 years of independence, give yourself the chance to reclaim yours. To commemorate, Relief Factor is offering a special patriotic price at $17.76, so you can pursue your happiness being pain-free. $17.76, 3-week quick starts ready for you right now. Relief Factor, because freedom just feels better without pain. Visit ReliefFactor.com. ReliefFactor.com. 800-4-RELIEF.
808 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. On the Ike, an accident involving a couple of semis. It's inbound right at 294, the Tri-State, on the right-hand shoulder. A disabled vehicle being cleared on 294, the Tri-State, right at I-88, and stop-and-go traffic showing up on the Route 53 between the Ike and Kirchhoff this morning. Traffic, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will bring partly sunny skies and warmer temperatures with a chance of a shower in the area this afternoon. The high will reach 80 degrees. Tonight, expect partly cloudy conditions with a low of 60. Tomorrow will be pleasant with a mix of clouds and sun, reaching a high of 71. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and another South American nation that has moved right, talking about Colombia, of course, narrowly electing lawyer Abelardo Esperilla on Sunday, replacing the outgoing socialist president, who was Petro, who was an antagonist President Trump's. At one point, if I'm recalling correctly, and I am, he all but suggested that Trump be assassinated. So I'd say that's a pretty big move. That now includes Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Honduras, and Costa Rica, along with Colombia, that have moved right in recent elections. The models of Milei and Bukele, Milei obviously in Argentina, Bukele in El Salvador, enjoying some popular support, although probably more pronounced in El Salvador. What Milei's, still his Malay's performance, I think, is perceived in Argentina, despite Peter Thiel's move there, very high profile, is still uneven, but he's got a lot going against him, a lot that he inherited when you're trying to unwind, drain the swamp, to borrow a phrase, Argentinian style. Anyway, for more on the developments in Colombia and Latin America, South America more generally, Juan David Rojas joins us. He covers Latin America and global Hispanidad for Unheard. His piece on the election results in Colombia. A second Milei rises in Colombia, but is he really? Juan David Rojas, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
I don't see him as a second Milei in the sense that, and you sort of documented in your piece, in the sense that, I mean, Milei came to the table as an economist who actually is a committed free market kind of guy in the tradition of, Friedman and some of the Austrian economists. I mean, he actually, knows the scholarship. Espriella, as you document, seems to be more of a opportunist when it comes to embracing more free market policies.
Yeah, well, honestly, the thing is, De La Espriella, he historically was always a free marketeer too. That was what he was really consistent about.
Okay.
So same with Milei. It's really that both him and Milei, before running for office, they were more like classical libertarians, and that they were very progressive on social issues. Like they both were like with abortion and like euthanasia, adoption by same-sex couples. But then when they ran for office, they became a lot more conservative, which makes sense because that's what like the electorate is actually into, especially on the right. Because that kind of like elite libertarianism really only appeals to like a small slice of the population, like your Peter Thiels and stuff like that.
So the reaction of the electorate making a change from a socialist like Petro to this free marketeer.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things. I actually think that Petro did a number of things right for workers on like labor, raising the minimum wage. I think those are winning issues for like progressives and like people left of center. The problem is there are a lot of other issues that, in the U.S. we call them like cultural issues, but the problem is some of these actually have like material consequences too, like on energy policy, security especially, and then of course, the identity stuff like the race, gender, and whatever. Which in a country like Colombia and a lot of Latin American countries, they like embrace like gender neutral Spanish, which is insane. Spanish is a gendered language, and imported basically a lot of these like American ideas about race that aren't in that context don't really make sense. But like security really is the big one, and that's where like Bukele really has been the most successful leader in my opinion on the Latin American right, and it's because he's delivered so much on security. Petro again, like was importing these like bad U.S. progressive ideas, like he like imported like so-called criminal justice reform. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of that.
Yes.
In Chicago, just like, we should reduce sentences on these so-called nonviolent crimes and like whatever, and it's just terrible. In a country like Colombia, the birthplace of Pablo Escobar, that just does not fly. So like, same thing. Or like reduce sentences for like a ton of different crimes, and so people really didn't like that. And then he also tried like negotiating with multiple armed groups at the same time. Like, there's still different kinds of like guerrillas and paramilitaries in Colombia, and it didn't work out. It's funny because a lot of people told me, like a lot of people that voted for De La Espriella said they weren't per se against like negotiating with certain armed groups to like get them to surrender or like secure peace deals. Like in 2016, there was this peace deal with the FARC, but they felt that he just, he wasn't tough enough. He didn't really have an iron fist and follow through for negotiations.
Yeah, I could imagine, going big blue city mayor style and talking about replacing police with social workers isn't going to have a lot of currency when you're talking about guerrillas like the FARC or cartels and so forth. Yeah, I could see where that would be a little tone deaf. Yes. But I mean, so that was one public safety, one issue, which is completely understandable. The other issue, though, too, I mean, it's worth touching upon energy policy, and despite all the evidence that continues to pile in 20 years after Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth, you had Petro and his would-be successor, who lost the race, embracing the sort of this antipathy towards fossil fuels and trying to get to net zero and so forth, like they were Gavin Newsom.
Yeah. I mean, I've called it climate fundamentalism. I think that climate change is real, and I think that an energy transition is important. I'm an all of the above strategy guy. I think that, like what we see in the U.S., the one side demonizing fossil fuels and the other side demonizing renewables, like, honestly, both of them have, like, their issues. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, even putting climate change to the side, like, there could be just different issues, like one sort of, like something goes wrong with the solar panels or something goes wrong with, like, natural gas. It's more useful to have, like, just a wide pool of energy from which you can rely on. Nuclear power. I'm a big nuclear power guy. But yeah, oil, natural gas, wind, solar, just use all of it. That's the smart way to do it. That's actually what De La Espriella ran on. And he even said that he wants to do fracking in Colombia, which is a lot of opposition to that. Petro says that, fracking is like a crime against humanity, but this is dumb. I mean, it's all just environmentalist propaganda that, the water or whatever. It's like, dude, I mean, you actually look at, like, the data, and it's been a long time, like 10 years plus since, like, anywhere in the U.S. really had, like, water contaminated as a result of fracking.
Well, the other
on top of that,
yeah, I mean, the other thing, I mean, not to interrupt, but I mean, the other thing is you document. By the way, half of state revenue comes from the sale of petroleum. I mean, what
exactly.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was getting to. In a lot of Latin American countries, you have, like, a state-owned oil company. So, like, in Mexico, there's Pemex. In Brazil, there's Petrobras. These are in Colombia, there's Ecopetrol, and a lot of times these are actually the biggest company in these countries, and they're responsible for a huge amount of state revenue. So in Colombia, including Ecopetrol, and then, like, other, like, private companies, multinationals that are oil companies, they account, like you said, because of the taxes and stuff like that, for around half of government revenue. And so what did Petro do? He started staffing the board of Ecopetrol. First, he put as the head of it this, like, crony that turned out to be super corrupt. And then on the rest of the board, he put, like, these academics that knew nothing about oil. They were just, like, these climate
activists,
activists.
Yeah.
And they completely destroyed the company, of course, because, extracting oil is evil. So, like, the revenues of Ecopetrol collapsed by, like, half by, like, the third year of his term. And it's just been a complete disaster. Think about it, like, we're coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, and so there's high inflation, but then because you've killed the number one company of the country, you then have low growth. You had this horrible stagflation, like 10% inflation, but low growth, that finally, like, gave way in, like, the past, like, 2 years. It's a complete disaster, and a lot of people hated that because, like, gas prices shot up, and then there was low growth, so really dumb.
What's your interpretation of this string of results, though, that I mentioned at the outset? Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, Honduras, Colombia, Costa Rica, all moving in a more conservative, more pro-American moving to a more conservative, more pro-American posture with the recent election results. What's happening there?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest. I think that with some exceptions, like in El Salvador and maybe in Argentina, though, yeah, as you said, Milei has had some problems. We'll have to see actually the election in Argentina next year. But typically what we see in Latin America is just like a wave of elections. So a wave for left-wing candidates, a wave for right-wing candidates. And usually it's because like whatever incumbent, they like really screw up in one or another way. So on like the left, yeah, like especially with like these more progressive leaders, you know, they'll really screw up on crime, on energy, immigration. Like that was a big thing in Chile, for example, also that had an election at the end of last year. But then on the right, a lot of times, like these right wingers, they'll come in, they'll try to cut everything that'll piss everyone off, and then like people will vote for the left again, et cetera. And I put in the piece, like, you know, I think in Argentina, like, it really was warranted for a lot of cuts because they were insanely in debt. Like, like their debt to GDP was like 150%, and now it's like 80% or 70%. Something it's still really high, but I mean, you cut it down by like half. So I can see a case for that. But like, for instance, in like Chile or Colombia, these are just not. These are countries that aren't that in debt. And from my point of view, I mean, you're really just hurting yourself by just going in and doing this austerity because that ends up killing growth.
What is the posture, generally speaking, towards the Monroe Doctrine, if you will, in the Western Hemisphere, and the U.S. reasserting itself in the Western Hemisphere vis-a-vis, you know, Russia, China, Iran, that axis of powers, and including but not limited to Trump capturing Maduro and taking him back to this country, some of what is being said in the direction of the Cubans by the Trump administration, including Marco Rubio, who's sort of writing point on that. How is that received, generally speaking, would you say, in Latin America in particular?
On the right, all of these leaders are completely on board. They love Trump. They love the U.S. They really are basically, they're willing to go along with like all, I mean, a lot of these leaders, like De La Espriella said, they like, he wants to like let Trump like bomb cartels in like Colombia and stuff like that. We've seen that in Ecuador too with the president there, President Noboa.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all about like U.S. investments. And, you know, with China, it's complicated because the thing is all of these countries are really reliant on China. It's like become their number one trading partner. At this point, China helps them build a lot of things, ports. In Colombia, the Chinese have been building the metro for the city of Bogota, the capital. And that's something that's taken the city like a century to do. Anyway.
That's the China Belt and Road Project. That's in part what I think prompted this reassertion of American influence in the hemisphere.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, the problem is with Russia, it's easier because Russia just doesn't have like the capital really to invest all over the world like China does. So a lot of these leaders are willing more to go against Russia. But China tends to be more kind of just rhetoric. Like Milei, for instance, he said that he wasn't going to trade anymore with like communists. But then when he became president, well, there's another story. And the problem is like just on the one hand, they get a lot of investment from China. On the other hand, like everything they export basically goes to China. But as for like what the broader population thinks, the funny thing is that like if you look at polls, at least like Pew looks at like opinions towards the U.S. and like Trump. Since Trump came back to office, public opinion has really soured against the U.S. over a lot of things like these boat strikes, which are like legally dubious, and they haven't like given evidence for like the killings of so-called narco terrorists in the Caribbean and the Pacific. But, you know, for me, it really says something that even though, like, the general population doesn't really like Trump, they're still, like, willing to vote for Trump-aligned candidates because of how much the left has messed up.
Interesting. Something else, too. I read this essay by a postgraduate student in Argentina, something he said about that Milei's complications and his uneven record so far, again, in the context of what he's up against, what he inherited. But talking about Peter Thiel's move to Argentina, because that, generates obviously a lot of attention in Argentina and frankly in the United States. He wrote that Argentinian youth, he said, there's a deeper cultural dynamic that I'm not sure Thiel understands. Argentine youth aspire much more towards La Dolce Vita than towards Weber's Protestant work ethic. They essentially want their country to be like Spain or Italy with a chill work-life balance, high leisure and consumption, underwritten by a generous welfare state, even if that model is becoming fiscally and demographically unsustainable in Europe. Is that something you would concur with in terms of an assessment of young people in Argentina and maybe in Latin and South America, generally speaking?
I'm not sure because the interesting thing in Argentina, maybe a bit less now, but for the election, it was actually young people. that elected Milei, if you can believe that. Young people went massively for Milei, and the elderly voted for the Peronists, the now opposition. And actually, you're seeing that now in Brazil, too, with Lula, that actually it's the young people now that are with the right and the older people are with the left. Each country is different. Like here in Colombia, the youth were very much for Petro and his candidate Cepeda, whereas like the older you got, you were more with the right. So it does depend. I would say that in Argentina, the thing is young people just felt like so desperate that they wanted to change from the previous government that and it's funny because there's this like one YouTuber I haven't looked at so much now, but he was like this politics guy and he just loved Milei, just really into Milei, just really into all the libertarian ideas and all of that. And like I said before, I think some of that was really warranted in Argentina's case. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out in next year if Milei wins re-election.
Yeah, no, it's just an interesting observation because I think, that you can, something becomes popular, it becomes counterculture, you buy into it, you like it, but if it doesn't immediately produce results, then you swing back and forth if there's no foundation. And frankly, what he's describing with respect to Argentinian youth, you could describe with respect to wide swaths of American youth too. So I think it's a much greater socio-cultural phenomenon that's in the West in general, and so it's just interesting to get that dynamic. If people really are I like the idea of liberty and bootstraps and personal responsibility. Those all sound good as abstractions. Then when the rubber meets the road and I actually have to execute and carry the weight, then maybe I want this benefits package and I don't want to work more than 36 hours a week and so on and so forth. And it's just easy to get wooed by the warm embrace of collectivism, as one New York City mayor describes it. So just curious. Juan David Rojas, he covers Latin America and global Hispanidad for Unheard. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And you join us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This 4th of July, celebrate America the right way. Fire up the grill. Invite the family over, launch the fireworks, and proudly display a handcrafted wooden American flag from UniqueWoodenFlags.com. These stunning hand-finished wooden flags are built with real craftsmanship and patriotic pride. Whether you want a classic American flag, military tribute flag, America First design, or a beautiful flag cross that celebrates both faith and freedom, they've got something for every proud American. Perfect for your home, office, man cave, lake house, garage, or as a meaningful gift for veterans, first responders, and patriots who still love this country. This Independence Day, don't just wave the flag, display it with pride. Visit UniqueWoodenFlags.com today. That's UniqueWoodenFlags.com.
It is that time of year again to save babies by providing ultrasounds with our friends at Preborn. You know how this goes. We've done it every single year at this time. All you have to do is pick up the phone and say, I want to provide a free ultrasound to a girl. Give her the chance to see the truth of what's happening in her body. Every $28 helps do that, saving one baby. $280 can do that, help save 10 babies. More does more. The phone number is 833-850-2229. 833-850-BABY. Join us saving babies with Preborn again this year. We're going to save hundreds of babies, one at a time, 2 or 5 or 10 at a time. That phone number again is 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or go online to 560theanswer.com/baby.
Hello, everyone. Gary Sinise here. I'm thrilled to share that me and the Lieutenant Dan Band are returning to Cantini Park in Wheaton, Illinois, where we will be rocking for our vets. Join us on July 11th for the West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans America 250 concert, saluting our veterans and supporting your veteran community. Tickets are on sale now at WSFDV.org, and I can't wait to see you there. Let's rock for our vets.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, taxpayer-funded junk food is now a constitutional right, apparently, according to one federal district court judge. Josh Blackman from the South Texas School of Law in Houston joins us to discuss politicians in robes, as well as those Supreme Court decisions that are pending before month's end. That's at 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
65 degrees and sunshine in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Want to let some commuters know on the Milwaukee West line of Metra, there is a halt right now near Schaumburg. A train there struck a pedestrian. Extensive delays anticipated. In fact, the UP West line is saying find alternative transportation for now, as that investigation after a train struck a pedestrian continues. The Supreme Court could release some major decisions today. The justices gave themselves until the end of June to finish their work. The docket includes President Trump's birthright citizenship order and counting mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day. The death toll is climbing after 2 powerful back-to-back earthquakes hit Venezuela. Correspondent Catherine Ellis has been talking with those who experienced the quakes.
People were telling me that things were just falling around the house. A lot of people have got injuries. Other people thought they were going to die, worried about their kids, worried about their pets, trying to get out of the buildings.
Venezuelan President Delcy Rodriguez has declared a state of emergency, and the U.S. is pledging to send in search and rescue teams and humanitarian supplies.
The Department of War is going to have to play a big logistical role here, because they have the ability to land in challenging places. Right now, the airport in Caracas is damaged. One of the runways is cracked. And so, but the Department of War has the capability situations like that.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio monitoring things while in Bahrain, meeting with the king of that country amid ongoing peace talks with Iran. Here's Fox's Trey Yingst.
Technical talks between the United States and Iran are set to resume next week, according to the Pakistan, with a focus on the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's nuclear ambitions. As this moves forward, we Yuri.
And thanks to the power and skill of the United States Armed Forces, today Iran has no Navy, no.
The president's remarks come as America's top diplomat, Marco Rubio, is in the Middle East to meet with counterparts about the war and the next steps in efforts toward peace.
Severe storms moving through the Chicago area Wednesday evening and leaving behind damage from Algonquin to Streamwood.
Right when the wind gust came, we saw a branch fall down, and then shortly after that, the entire tree kind of came with it, and it actually landed on a portion of the house.
Heavy rain falling in Lamont, over 2 inches, over 2.5 inches in Chicago Heights. Damage and heavy rain in and around Maryville and Griffith, Indiana. Chicago City Clerk Anna Valencia is officially launching her re-election campaign, seeking a third term in an office she says she has transformed.
But when my mom lost her $25,000 per year job after battling breast cancer, there were many times we lived paycheck to paycheck. Their values and work ethic still guide me today.
Valencia first appointed to the post in 2017 by Mayor Rahm Emmanuel. Cubs score 20 runs to claim both ends of a doubleheader over the Mets, 10-3 and 10-5. The White Sox failed to sweep the Guardians out, losing in 10, 4-3. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen on your smartphone when you download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Scott Jennings sees business as usual in California.
Do I think it's fraudulent on its face that a Republican didn't get more than 25% of the vote in a mayor's race in L.A.? No, that's not inherently fraudulent. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, California routinely picks the literal worst people in the world to run the state and the cities. That does not seem to be a shocking outcome to me.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
Salem Surround. Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
840, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Willowbrook, an accident reported, 75th and Clarendon Hills Road. Lyle, an accident reported, Warrenville and Route 53 in the cleanup stage, if not out of your way. I-80, an accident with injuries, westbound at I-355, and delays on the Tri-State this morning. Stop-and-go traffic northbound between Ogden and I-88. A disabled vehicle on the Stevenson blocking a left-hand lane inbound at Lamont Road. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Partly sunny. We'll have an afternoon shower in spots and a high near 80.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I want to talk about these pending Supreme Court cases and what, if any, decisions may be surprising. Hopefully some will be impactful. There just won't be a lot of punting going on. But first, I want to talk to our next guest about how he is dealing with his law students in the AI era. Interesting piece he wrote in Reason Magazine about the approach he's taking. Josh Blackman is the Centennial Chairman of Constitutional Law at the South Texas College of Law in Houston and a contributing editor to Civitas Outlook. Professor Blackman, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, what are you going to do to test your students in the era of AI-aided coursework?
Well, it's tricky because the only way that I know they're not using AI is if they're literally sitting in front of me with no devices in their ear or in front of their eyes. So I'm going to go to try and do something that's older than our society, which is the oral examination. This is how the Greeks did it. This is how the Romans did it. This is how they did it in centuries. Rather than having 100 students sitting in the room at the same time writing the exact same exam, I am planning to meet with each student one-on-one in my office. They'll be recorded, and I will ask them questions. And to be fair, I'll give them the questions in advance so there's no surprises. But I get to ask follow-up questions. And maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and I think I can snuff out pretty quickly if you know the material.
And has this been announced yet to your students, or just announced in Reason Magazine, and that's how they're finding out about it?
I haven't announced it for sure, and I'm still going back and forth exactly how I'll do it. But I mentioned this to some of my colleagues before, and I actually mentioned it to students maybe a couple of years ago. So I've sort of been toying with this idea. But the cheating has really, I think, gotten out of hand. They have these smart glasses now that look like regular glasses, and you can just take a picture of an exam question. It reads you an answer in your ear. Or what some kids do is they put Vaseline over their laptop cameras.
Oh,
it's true.
Okay.
Or what we have now is monitoring software where your laptop camera records you. That if you use a phone or something, it flags it. They put Vaseline over their camera so it blurs it out, and they can just take a picture of the screen with their phone, and it generates an answer, and the answer is perfect every time in 1 second. So, there's only so much you can do, and even if you give a paper to write at home, I have zero way of knowing if they're using AI to generate the paper. Right? They can just copy and paste it, and move things around, and there's very little work. So the only way I think we can actually evaluate students where I know they're not using AI is that they're sitting in front of me and they have no devices. I'll keep their phone in the hallway, and I could just talk to them for a few minutes like the old days, and we'll see how that works out. I haven't done it exactly, but I'm going to give it a go.
And if and you can't do the old blue books and have them handwrite it because nobody learned how to write in this generation anymore, so they don't have the capacity to do that.
Oh boy!
So they're going to have to talk.
It's really bad. Yeah, I don't have students who handwrite anymore, but when they used to, I couldn't read a darn thing. I'm sure it's gotten worse in the last decade.
Yeah. I mean, this is really interesting. And have you gotten any feedback from your colleagues about how they think this is going to go, or are they just standing back and they're going to let you be the guinea pig and see how it goes for you and then make it their own decisions?
Yeah, I mean, there are some concerns which I think are legitimate. One is anonymity, right? Because when you grade an exam, you don't have the student's name on it, and you don't know who they are.
Yeah,
and that does protect anonymous grading. I think the response to that is, when I'm grading a paper that has a student's name on it, who wrote it, the student or ChatGPT? Right, so
yeah,
anonymity is kind of a different standard. Another issue is that some students do get nervous. They might have anxiety. They might not perform well on the spot. They might need more time to think about things. And I'm very definitely sensitive to that. This is why I will give the questions in advance, so there'll be no surprises.
Oh.
And it's then up to the student to
prepare,
sort of anticipate where I might go left or right, but it's a starting point. Like there'll be 10 questions, and I'll then pick one at random. There'll be 10 index cards on my table, pick a card, and that's the question I'll have to answer. So I think they'll minimize it. But I think in general, students don't like to do things differently than they've done before. So I think there will be some resistance, and it's going to be for the midterm, which is a fairly small part of the grade, maybe 10%.
Well, I mean, the other point I suppose you would make too is, hey, whether you end up being a litigator or you end up being more of a transactional lawyer, you're going to have to be able to communicate, what you're doing and why you're doing it, and or with the help of ChatGPT, but to colleagues in courts of law, to clients. So you're going to have to be able to communicate as well, orally, right?
Right. I mean, all to engage in what's called moot court or mock trial, where they actually present things, and they have to. This is not like a foreign skill set that they don't have to learn about. But again, I think for lawsuits, next year's report back.
All right, I'm interested. I mean, again, like the response to technological creative destruction or disruption is to go backwards sometimes. It's kind of interesting. That's why I like the experiment. Make assessments on somebody's knowledge and facility with a subject. But anyway, I wanted to get to the Supreme Court docket. So, I mean, we've got federal district court judges, right? Holding that Trump's executive order on requiring proof of citizenship to vote is unconstitutional. That's been blocked. A federal judge in D.C. blocked the ability data sets to bump up of people who are in this country legally but ineligible to vote, to bump up against state voter files to make sure people who are here legally but ineligible to vote been blocked. And now this U.S. District Judge Amy Berman Jackson ruled that the Department of Ag lacks the authority to approve state waivers to prevent people from using food stamps to buy junk food. So I mean, it's a technical legal argument I think she's making without having read the opinion to the extent that's more expansive than it's being reported. But I mean, it's just one of those things where people are really tiring of particularly on the right, of politicians in robes and some of these essentially usurpations of executive and legislative authority by the judiciary. Is there any case that you think might speak to some of this that the Supreme Court is going to weigh in before the month is out?
Probably not. I think that's one of their big ticket issues, but I want to just address your question. At this point, we have our 250th birthday, and we were taught in school there are three branches of government, right? And how's the law passed? Congress passes it, both houses, the president signs it. But that's not the process anymore. It works like this. The president takes an action, and the court decides if it's good or not, right? Virtually every action Trump takes about the Kennedy Center, about the reflecting pool, about everything goes to the courts. And there's this never-ending stream of rulings where judges say, well, I don't think you give this enough thought. And I think this doesn't need to really make much sense. Let's do it differently. And you have judges across the country who are literally dictating virtually every facet of the executive's agenda.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's sustainable. Now, the Supreme Court is sort of a reactionary institution. They don't get stuff right away. But I think over the next year or so, a lot of these sorts of cases you mentioned will trickle up. And the Supreme Court might say, okay, lower judges, you're not in charge. You're sitting there in Boston or Rhode Island. You don't control the entire country. And they're going to have to push back. And I think the Supreme Court will get kind of annoyed. I mean, there's one judge in Boston who's been reversed twice by the Supreme Court in the same case and will soon be reversed for a third time. And they just don't get the hint. They think they're saving the world from fascism and that they can't stand by idly. But they're judges, and these are not the roles of what they should be doing.
And then the argument, well, these judges need to be impeached. Well, like impeaching a president, that's a lot easier said than done in the nature of our distribution of political power in the legislative bodies. I mean, you need supermajority.
Right. The entire idea of impeaching judges takes so much work.
Yeah.
And look, there's this judge in Atlanta. I'm not sure if you heard about her. She literally had sex in her office with a police officer over the course of a year, and she didn't resign. And she's not going to get impeached. The standard is way too high. I think we need to look more carefully at removing judges who misbehave.
I agree with that. Let's talk a little bit about these sort of categories of cases, election and voting laws, boys and girls sports, the president's, here we go, the executive again, his appointment power or termination power, the Lisa Cook case with the Federal Reserve. And, of course, probably the biggest ticket item is birthright citizenship. Do you expect there's going to be any seismic decisions authored by the court but in any of these cases?
Yeah, so I sit here now. The Supreme Court will issue rulings about 9 minutes, so we might even get some of those cases today, so I guess I'm good on the air now.
Yeah.
The transgender sports case, I think, should be a victory. This is an issue that I think even Justice Kagan realizes is nuts, that biological males should not be in female sports, that the federal civil rights laws was not designed to allow biological males, and it was designed to keep the separate sports for men and for women. That's the purpose of the law. So I think that's going to be an easy one. Birthright citizenship that you mentioned, I think Trump's going to lose that one. I don't think it's going to be very close. The president's power to fire people. This is actually a big one. This is not about Trump. This goes back to FDR, where presidents for almost 100 years have tried to say that the power to fire members of the Federal Trade Commission and other agencies. I think Trump wins that one. The other one, though, is the Federal Reserve. Lisa Cook was a member, and Trump tried to fire her. I think he loses that one. The court will say the Fed's different and just leave the Fed alone. So those are probably the biggest cases remaining. But so far, the term has been pretty good for conservatives. There haven't been really any losses or surprises, but the last week usually brings some surprises.
Well, birthright citizenship is a big one. Why do you think that is not going to go the way of the Trump administration and won't be close even?
You know, if we were writing on a blank slate, this was the 1880s, I think Trump would probably win this one. But we have over 100 years of precedent where the executive branch has said, if you're born in U.S. soil, doesn't matter who your parents are, you're a citizen. And I just think the court's upset that long-standing compromise. There are a lot of people who were born in soil and their parents were not citizens that may now be in jeopardy of remaining a citizen. So I think the court says, all right, basically, this is going on for too long. Trump could lose.
Well, but I mean, so that's sort of, which is fair. That's sort of an answer in terms of speaking like how the Supreme Court is going to play the politics of this. The precedent, like Wong Kim Ark is pretty spotty. So what would your position be just on the law itself, sans the politics?
I think it's sort of a split issue. I think there's two kinds of categories. So one is visitors, right? Tourist visa. The so-called temporary sojourners who just come here for a little bit and don't intend to stay, I don't think their kids are citizens. The harder one is people who come here illegally and intend to stay. When the 14th Amendment was written, we didn't really have immigration laws. So you could basically come here and stay here long-term, and you weren't really subject to deportation. Today they are. So that one's a lot harder in my view. We've had to sort of map an 1868 provision of the Constitution onto our modern immigration law. I think even today, those who come here on tourist visas, so-called birth tourists, like from China and Russia, their kids should not be citizens. I think I'm actually pretty strong on that one.
But I mean, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that phrase in which the case turns. That necessarily implies consent. And if you don't have consent to be here because you're here illegally, then how could you invoke your right to be a citizen?
Yeah, I think if you're writing on a blank slate, I think there's actually a decent argument for that. But just I think that the amount of precedent we have here, it's probably water under the bridge.
Josh Blackman is the Centennial Chair of Constitutional Law at South Texas College of Law in Houston and a contributing editor to Civitas Outlook. Professor Blackman, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. And he joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Croscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Croscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Croscom.
Call Croscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Croscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Croscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Croscom.
Croscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Croscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high-quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CroscomPublicAdjusters.com.
So Ryan and I came to the decision to get life insurance when I was pregnant with our first son. He really wanted us to be taken care of if something happened to him. He provided for our family in life and also after his death. I think that would make him proud. Ethos makes it fast and easy to get life insurance. Apply in minutes and get same-day coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hi, Dr. Huber here with Marty. Marty and I were at the Cigar Festival 2026, and we're here listening to Sean Thompson's show. And Marty told me about he has a sinus problem that Virago seemed to help.
Probably for the past 15, 20 years, I would get a sinus infection every spring, every fall, and had to go in, get medication. Since the last 2 years I've been taking Virago, I have not had any issues with the sinus. If I feel it coming on, I just up the dosage, and then I get the sweats one night, and then it's all gone. I feel great.
So you think Virago is a big reason for all this improvement?
Yeah, and I don't have to take any sinus medication, which I'm happy about because I don't know what's in half that stuff anyway.
Well, that's great, and thanks, Marty. We're glad to tell our Virago fans that we do help with your sinus problems. Thank you.
Try Virago today. Order your bottle online at myvirago.com and use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. That's myvirago.com, coupon code IMMUNE. Virago and Maha, making America healthy again.
Hello, everyone. Gary Sinise here. I'm thrilled to share that me and the Lieutenant Dan Band are returning to Cantini Park in Wheaton, Illinois, where we will be rocking for our vets. Join us on July 11th for the West Suburban Foundation for Disabled Veterans America 250 concert, saluting our veterans and supporting your veteran community. Tickets are on sale now at WSFDV.org, and I can't wait to see you there. Let's rock for our vets.
AM 560, The Answer.
Now, I guess we have time for to order one more word salad from Kamala Harris on her listening tour if she considers a presidential run.
You've talked about that you're thinking about running for president, right? How is that thought process going? What's the process in that? And I know you're on a listening tour, and I'm curious what you're hearing from people as you've gone around the country, what people are telling you that maybe you've learned that you didn't know before the process of doing so.
What people are telling me includes that they want to believe in systems, and they've lost trust in those systems. What I hear...
Yeah, it's now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
They keep digging through rubble, searching for survivors. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In Venezuela, after two earthquakes struck a minute apart, a 7.2 magnitude and then a 7.5.
Right now, we're worried that there are people trapped in rubble. We want to help them get